everybody. Hi, it is I, your host of the Dork Side of the Ring podcast, your purveyor of all things dorky within the scope of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. I am Grum. Hello. Good to have you guys. Welcome in another good week. Doing, as you can see, maybe because I just moved the mic away from my face. I'm still in my car recording, doing a lot of the. Let me know. Tell me how the quality sounds for you. That'd be great because this stuff is it helps me out, right? It helps me out. Good episode on deck. Thank you guys for continuing to listen. I appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Following us on Twitter at DorksideRing. Follow us on Instagram at DorksideRing. Grum.tv is the Discord for all things that within my content and my community. You support.grum.tv is the Patreon. You get these episodes early, provided I am, hitting the right buttons. Sometimes I don't hit the right buttons, and then I realize, we don't have, don't have this week's episode uploaded. Whoops. That's what happened last week. But no, not this week. Not this week, not next week, not ever again. Normally, when I got a yawn, my mic doesn't pick it up, but this mic, it does. Or I should say, I have the ability to not have my mic pick it up, and with a simple click of a button. And this microphone, it doesn't really have a mute button on it, so I can't be doing that. So, fun episode this week. This week I've got two good friends of mine from Grand Theft Auto Roleplay, Twitch.tv's DidactGaming, and RBStreams. Two super fans on level with me in terms of the amount of wrestling that we watch. RB introduces me some of the more interesting Japanese wrestling stuff that I've seen. Which we'll get to. We're going to get to as I keep going on. My list is ever growing, especially when you watch 2000s WCW when you go to sleep, like I do. There's a lot that gets added. It's like, oh hey, let me do that and let me do that. So we haven't even touched like TNA. TNA has some absolute stinkers. We haven't even touched like 90s, like WCW. They got some stinkers. We will soon. We will soon. Actually, I figured out one topic and found the appropriate media that I would like to use to show it and share it to future guests. But we're talking about 1999 WCW. We've got Will Sasso from MadTV, comedian, wrestling fan himself, Will Sasso, taking on Bret the Hitman Hart. That's right. An all-time great in Bret the Hitman Hart taking on Will fucking Sasso on Monday Nitro. It is an absolute just bonkers idea. In thing that happened. We got that episode. Sorry, I was watching somebody drive really irresponsibly while I'm in my car. I should say I'm parked at work, so I'm in my car. It's off. It's not moving. So it should be like, I shouldn't have to say it, but like don't be driving around, distracting yourself with like, computers and cell phones. I mean, look, I'm not no saint. Sometimes I'll do that. Sometimes I'll be, let me just send this real quick. One of those days is gonna bite. It'll bite you in the ass. And hopefully it doesn't really do. It's really just cosmetic stuff. Hopefully, right? But you never know. Also, goes without saying, don't drink and drive. Don't be drinking and driving. If you drink, call Uber. Call a friend. Sleep in your car. Don't sleep in your car. That's actually, if you sleep in your car, if you're behind the wheel of your car, if you're gonna sleep in your car when you're drunk, sleep in the back seat. I think that is a worker. I don't know. If you're in your car, don't put your key in the ignition too. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's also bad. That'll get you for drunk driving, even if you weren't, driving actually. Don't do that. Anything else? No. Don't drink and drive. Wash your hands. Wear masks. All that stuff. We got Didac. We got RB. Two friends. Twitch.tv's very own to come on the podcast. we're going to be talking about Bret Hart versus Will Sasso today here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast. And that starts right about now.
This is interesting because this is the first one I've done with two like devout hardcore wrestling fans that we occasionally will share with each other, like just some obscure, like, hey, did you see this video? You see this obscure ass shit? Like RB showed me the
Suzuki empty.
Yeah, the Suzuki, which I've after Suzuki came and wrestled on AEW for a couple of things. I was like, hey, like, have you guys ever seen his empty arena match? Now this is like a group that I've been like introducing like through Dorkside stuff and pay-per-views wrestling, and I've told them about the Mankind, Rock empty arena match, halftime heat.
Oh yeah, the halftime heat.
And that match, a Dorkside worthy match, but like they're like, wow, that was wild. So they're thinking it's just like that, right? Like it's a hardcore brawl in an arena. And when they see that it's in the Tokyo Dome, which is set up as a baseball field, like they're like, hey, what? Excuse me? Like, and I'm like, yeah. And then they see it's an hour.
Welcome to DDT.
And then they see it's an hour long, and they're like, how? There's no way this match is worth watching for an hour. And I'm like, just wait. And like just the bits of everything of like them running the bases, throwing Suzuki throwing his opponent at second base, and somebody running out to be like safe, like brawling through the crowd. They're up on the second level, doing the like, oh no, he's gonna go over, and then he goes over but lands like right in the next like it's like in the one spot where there's not actually a drop.
Yeah.
And mascots coming out, everything.
Tagging second base to get the rope break on submission. And the ref going safe.
The pitching. He's just like crawling away, so he sets up and he throws just like an imaginary pitch at him. Like, and this is the thing is, it's Minoru Suzuki, who is just known as the
murder grandpa.
The murder grandpa. Like, he's a man who's in his 50s, looks the same as he did when he was in his 20s because he's always been miserable. And that's the key, because now he's like, it's like, all right, he's not actually miserable, guys. Like, he just used to be miserable. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen like anything of him as like a young lion, but he's always looked miserable. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Even as a young
face.
lion, as a young lion, he looked like he was a character in a Yakuza game.
Yeah.
You just see him get his ass whooped, and he's just miserable the whole time, looking like a Yakuza game member. Like, it's like, this guy's gonna be something, right? Like, he has to be, because he stands out right now. Like, it's funny. Like, so for people listening that don't know, New Japan and Japanese pro wrestling in general has like a young lion system where you live in a dojo, you are trained as a professional wrestler, but you basically eat shit and learn to like it. You have to. It's basically like they make, in exchange for learning how to wrestle, you have to chauffeur, other wrestlers around. You have to wash mats. You have to build the ring. You have to do all these things in exchange to be a part of their dojo. And basically, you occasionally get to wrestle with some of the bigger stars. I know. In 2019, when Jon Moxley left WWE, one of the first things he did of notice was go to New Japan, win the U.S. title in New Japan, and then was just like, "This is my young boy, and he's mine now. Like, I'm taking him under my wing, and he's gonna get his ass beat because of me."
Well,
wasn't it Red Shoes' kid?
It was Red Shoes' son. It was
Shoto
Umino, now Shooter, he had a curtain jerker with him, and he absolutely destroyed him. And then because in New Japan they always do like a press conference after every match.
Yeah,
he like picks him up. He says, "I like this kid. This is my young boy now." And so Shooter would just carry around the U.S. title whenever, just trailing behind Mox while he's coming through the crowd.
Yeah, and it's just so, because it's like, here's this guy who when he left to go to the WWE was a ultra violent CZW, like, you know, like everybody talks about like GCW nowadays being like this, and it's like, nah, like that's his whole whole aura is just this. Anything can and will happen. But don't buckle your seatbelt in because you're gonna get the fuck out the car as soon as he gets behind the wheel. Like, it's don't give this man a second to take you on the ride with him. And it just made Jon Moxley pre WWE a lot of fun. And when he got to WWE, a lot of people like can't wait for him to be, Jon Moxley. And it's like, we got some of it, but obviously a toned down version. And since he
how can you
left,
say that? We got the Ambrose Asylum match with the Tree and Chris Jericho.
Look, hey, Chris Jericho's great. No, I can't even pretend it. Fuck Chris Jericho. Yeah, no, look, he got a plan. Like, Dean Ambrose got a plan over. The guy's pretty fucking good. Like,
yeah,
I always hate when people are like, oh, they got him, doing this shit. It's like
fucking Jeff,
like
the plant.
like here's the thing, good wrestlers can make chicken salad out of chicken shit more often than not, and do it everywhere, not just like there's a lot of bad booking everywhere.
Oh yeah.
But before we get too deep into super talk, like this is the super fan episode of Dorkside. I've waited about 30 episodes before I got to the point where I'm like, let me get two big fans on that are up to date on things, so our references can be even more up to date. We're here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast. I've got two friends of many years, two absolute goofballs who love professional wrestling. We'll start alphabetically as we always do. Didac, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing well.
And RB, and we also have on the other side RBStreams.
What's up, my dude?
How you doing? Welcome to the Dork Side of the Ring.
I'm doing great. It's good time to be a wrestling fan.
Great time.
And a good time to be in the Dork Side of the Ring.
It's tough. I'm not sure the preface it or the
because you get in the ring.
Yeah.
But you're on the dark side, or the dork side. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can also be in the dork side, like.
Correct. I'm here, baby.
Dork side is the click.
Dork side is the click. That's right. Yeah. We're all we're at this point we've gone past like 2016 level, 2016 Bullet Club level of size of members. We've got Jeff Jarrett and Scott D'Amore thinking we're having too many people on in the group. But we'll start with introductions. Didac, tell the people a little bit about yourself, where they can find you, what you do, what you work on, all this fun stuff.
Yeah, I met you, Grum, and RB through the Crew RP GTA roleplay stuff. I'm a Twitch streamer, stay-at-home dad, graphic designer, do all that stuff. You can find me twitch.tv/DidactGaming. And you can find me at on Twitter at the same handle.
RB, how about yourself, where they can find you, what you're working on, things you would like to, take the time to talk about at the start of the podcast?
Absolutely. I am RB. I'm a homegrown boy from Buffalo, New York. Greatest city in the world other than Philadelphia. Respect. I am I work, I'm an analyst, but what I do when I'm having fun is I spend some time on Twitch and on TikTok. On Twitch, I am the RBstream, THERBSTREAM, which is notable because on Twitter and TikTok, it's a more pirate spelling. It's the RB, THEAHRBEE. Because I'm not streaming there, so it just has to be the RB, and you can't have 5 letters.
No.
But yeah, I'm basking in the my good hometown guy main eventing Dynamite this week.
Yeah. It's always that's a great feeling.
Yeah, Daniel Garcia, he's still the heavyweight champion in ESW, the local gig, and lots of Buffalo people in AEW these days, and I really like it.
It's
There's been a lot of Minneapolis people in AEW recently too.
There's been a decent amount of Philadelphians too. This is weird. I don't like this. I mean, to be fair, I don't know. I mean, like, Adam Cole is local. Sure, he's built from Panama, but that's so he can do the whole dirtbag thing. But he's a local guy. Orange Cassidy, local guy, or maybe not as local, but he did come up through Chikara. He was a fire ant, or one of the
yes, he was.
I think he was fire ant. I think he was fire ant.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was fire ant.
Yeah, he's one of the early colony members, which is just funny to think about. Also, I mean, Chucky's not, but he kind of is. Like, again, like Philadelphia is, Yuta. Yeah, there's a strong influence. I mean, when it's basically anybody who wrestled together in Chikara and PWG, like that's basically what you're gonna pull from. God, those 2010s Chikaras. I regularly think about how cool it would have been if like Larry Sweeney was still here, just because that dude had the most personality I've ever seen in an independent wrestler. Like, just it's very funny that like you guys know I do the Dusty Rhodes impression, but like you guys also know that we'll have a regular conversation and suddenly I will just break into the Dusty Rhodes as if I'm having the conversation and nobody. It's just easy to be like, we're just having a conversation and all of a sudden, baby, I just do this and we go into a conversation. I keep talking and you're like, Grim, what's going on with you? And I'm like, what happened? Oh shit, I went into the Dusty voice. Okay.
I don't even question it anymore.
No. Yeah, it's just what happens.
But like, I feel I got that energy from watching like Larry Sweeney, because he could be having a promo very over the top and then just suddenly stop at having it at that level and be real serious. And then right back, it's over this top caricature of shit where it's like opposite of like Eddie Kingston, who is very much one flavor all the time, but is very effective, so it's growing up watching them. But yeah, enough about this. Is what's going to happen all episode 2 is we're gonna be talking about something and we're gonna go into the nerdy aspect of pro wrestling. This is really the dork side of it.
That's what we're here for. That's what the people are here.
That's
for,
what the people we're doing it for episode. The people.
This is like when they say the title of the movie in the movie.
I'm Iron Man. Son of a bitch. Roll credits.
Time for us to be fast and furious.
We're going to be gone in 60 seconds.
This is our Independence Day.
We're the
Spider-Man.
All right, there we go. Spider-Man. No Way Home. There's No Way Home. Still haven't seen it though.
Bonesaw is gonna get you.
Bonesaw is ready. RB though, we'll since I've already said it and it's very apparent we're all wrestling nerds. What is your experience with and background with professional wrestling and sports entertainment?
I was in the video in the intro of the first ECW PlayStation video game. It was November.
I didn't know this.
November to Remember was at the Burt Flickinger Center, a favorite ECW trip. I think there were like 2 pay-per-views there, and they were there about twice a year. And there's a shot where New Jack, of course. I think it was like New Jack versus. It doesn't matter who it was. It was New Jack. New Jack got up on we were inside what was basically like a 3 basketball court gymnasium.
Okay.
That was cut off and they had bleachers up on it, and of course it's ECW. And New Jack is on like one of those like reinforced basketball hoops where it goes up into the ceiling and then it goes off at an angle to another ceiling.
Yeah.
And he dropped on somebody on a table, and I was right behind the table. So that's like the money shot of the video. And you can't make me out, but I can make out the wild ass Hawaiian t-shirt I was wearing or shirt I was wearing that day. Like, that's me. There's New Jack. That's me. And like, I got spit on by Sandman while he was going through the crowd for 30 minutes drinking a beer. The kind of thing you can get from ECW. I've been a wrestling fan since like I was 7.
What?
Hell of a
What?
segue.
Like that's way to bury the lead. Fuck, I don't give a fuck about when you started watching wrestling. Excuse me. Wait a second. All right, hold on. So, not only did you see live ECW in its hey fucking day, not like
Oh yeah.
not like the tail end where you're like, we're excited about. Well, it's like we have Steve Corino and that's about it. Like also I guess we have Rhino. RVD's coming back from being injured. That's great. No, like height of the good fucking times.
I got like I got a late I think I got an RVD Sabu.
Oh boy.
It was short as it could be those days.
Yeah.
And the main event was the Impact Players versus Dreamer and Sandman.
Wow. Yeah.
And New Jack did that, and
Is that 99?
I
No, it was 2000, right?
I think I was in. I think
No,
it
it
was
would be.
99.
It would be 99 because
It was yeah.
because November 2000 Storms in WCW. So yeah, okay, all right,
Yeah.
yeah. Wild.
Let me pull up his November to Remember 99. Okay, we had. Oh, sorry. It was Rhino and the Impact Players versus Raven, Tommy Dreamer, and the Sandman.
Jeez.
RVD versus Taz.
Okay.
The best part, even though I didn't mention it, Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka.
Yeah, that's good shit.
Yeah, right. I think there was a three-way. Jerry Lynn versus Tajiri and Super Crazy.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I had no I was like this was like I was a freshman in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Was it the best night of my life? Yes, it was. Like I have 2 really big wrestling nights like that. I have that, and I was at Night of Champions in what was then the First Niagara Center, I think. And it was the year that Punk had a match. I don't remember who it was against. Mark Henry won the world championship, and he had the crowd had flipped for him absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was like him versus Randy, and Randy was a face at that time because why? And it was right after a Beth Phoenix championship match where the crowd just flipped because, of course, Beth Phoenix in Buffalo, of course she's going to lose. We got super behind. We got super duper behind Mark Henry, and he cut a promo on us, just like you're not rooting for me, you're rooting against you're here for me now because you don't like the guy I was going against. You don't care about me. Yeah. And that was like John Cena showed up in it
was 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Alberto's Maserati or whatever.
Oh boy. Oh brother.
Yeah. It was I didn't think I was gonna go, and then day of I took a look on like StubHub or something, and it was like, do you want a floor seat for $20? I'm like, yes.
Of course I do.
Of course I do.
Why not?
Yeah, right.
At that point.
But yeah, I've been into wrestling since I was really young. I started watching like Superstars on Saturday afternoon, and then Raw became a thing, and then just sort of built from there. For a while, I thought I would be a wrestler, but I broke my ankle 6 times in high school between football and other things, so that became a non-starter. And I've just been a fan ever since.
That sounds about right. I think it's very similar to my own. What about you, Didact? Your experience? Were you at CZW stabbing Zandig with a spike in the crowd? Can we see you in? in a best of CZW?
Unfortunately, no. But I have had my brushes with wrestling, not necessarily greatness, but a few well-known faces. I've been a fan of wrestling since about the mid '90s. I think the first pay-per-view match I remember ever seeing, and the only reason I remember it is because it was the Sting rafter entrance when he faced Hulk Hogan.
Mm.
I don't even remember what pay-per-view that was.
Was that I want to say that was Halloween Havoc 99?
It might have been.
Because he didn't do it for Starrcade. And I don't think he did it for Super Brawl. He might have done it for Super Brawl 98.
But yeah, he did the rafter entrance, which I fucking blew my mind as little Didact. And then I fell out of it until my cousin moved in with us at my dad's place. And she was really into it because she was like gaga over John Cena. And that was about the time that they did like the ECW revival. And I got super into ECW because I really liked Punk. Like when I first saw that, I'm like, that guy, him, Punk's my fucking dude. And then I fell off about my senior year of high school, which is like, I fell off around 2008, 2009 and didn't really get back into it. And then I started, meeting people again and ended up working with a guy who was a huge wrestling fan. It was like, it just put my ass back into gear and I fell back into it and haven't really looked back since. First Wrestling is based in Minneapolis, and most of their big like payoff show, WrestlePalooza, is held at First Avenue. And the promotion is actually run by Eric Cannon, who has been on. He was Brian Kendrick in a notable WWE segment. Arya Davari, Sean Davari, Top Flight 612 is from here. So I've seen all of those guys wrestle locally, and it's phenomenal. But I don't have anything quite as prestigious as what RB has as being in the promo video.
Yeah, I don't think anybody does. Not anybody I know.
It was just cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You open up the game and you're just like, hey, there I am. There it is.
That was 100% what happened. I turned on the game. I rented it from Blockbuster Video. For those of you who don't know, Blockbuster Video used to be a place that rented videos and video games. And I turned it on, and I fell out of my chair. Like, that's me.
Yeah.
That's me.
So, with the whole pandemic and everything, haven't been able to go to a lot of wrestling shows recently. But over the summer, I took my wife and our son, and we went to, it was a First Wrestling show. It was an all outdoor show, which was great. Got to sit on the lawn of the Schmidt Brewery and watch guys beat the crap out of each other, which was great. Kid loves Thunder Frog, which I'm like, that's probably the best wrestler you can have as like, that's his dude.
Yeah, give me Thunder Frog.
Fucking Thunder Frog is hilarious. Both as a in kayfabe and out, he is a hilarious guy. And then in November, my stepbrother sends me a text. Like, I get this text from a random number. I didn't realize it was his number, and he goes, "Hey, you want to go to Full Gear?"
Ooh.
I'm like, yeah, I would love to go to Full Gear. So ended up going to Full Gear and seeing that live, and that was phenomenal. Seeing Baron von Raschke give somebody the claw was excellent. Which
Yeah,
another
pretty epic.
another old local guy.
Mhm.
And that's what blows a lot of people's minds is like when you see like the Four Horsemen or Baron von Raschke or the Ganyas, and people are like, "Oh yeah, those guys." I'm like, "Yeah, you know where they all got their start, including Ric
Minnesota.
Flair, Minnesota.
Right.
Like they all came out of here."
Ric Flair wanted to be Dusty Rhodes. Like, it's wild to think about, like, one of Flair's best rivals is Dusty Rhodes when he's like, yeah, I'm going to start wrestling as Ricky Rhodes. And they're like, he meets Dusty Rhodes, Dusty goes, drop the fucking name. Like, you can't be Dusty Rhodes. Like, I'm not saying, like, not as, like, a brag. Like, he's like, you're just going to fail. Like, you got to be your own guy. Also, your last name is Flair. Like, fuck it, that's a cool name. Just be Ric Flair.
Just be Ric Flair.
It's like, oh,
But yeah, that's my wrestling background for the most part.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, well, so we got a bunch of nerds on the podcast this week. This is good. I feel at home on my own podcast. I mean, I always feel at home. I only have friends, but true hardcore wrestling nerds who made figuring out what I'm going to watch today very difficult. But before we get to that, I like to do some contextual questions about the topic. So I'll ask: are you a Saturday Night Live or a MadTV kind of like which way do you lead? We'll start with you. What about you, Didac?
I'm a Saturday Night Live guy.
Okay.
Always
Right.
been a Saturday Night Live guy.
RB?
Yeah, I feel like I quote Mad TV more often because I had a boss who really enjoyed the Miss Swan. No Scooby-Doo on the plane. But yeah, I'm an SNL. I'm a New York guy. I went to school in New York. I'm an SNL guy.
That's fair. And look, both are very good. I think it's very funny when I think about like SNL is obviously the powerhouse, but like Mad TV has a lot of like noticeable like people. What was I watching the other day? Murderville. Like Murderville had had a significant amount of people that were on Mad TV throughout the 6 episodes that are on Netflix. I'm like, whoa, they're still doing this? Like, that's pretty fucking cool. And then I'm like, all right, it probably has to do with the people being involved, or like, hey, like these are some of my favorite people. Like, they're really good. But SNL obviously is just a machine that just churns out people, and even the people that don't make it. Like Tim Robinson's like, I Think You Should Leave is probably my favorite show on Netflix. And they're just like, yeah, your sketches are too weird for SNL. And it's like, meanwhile, it's like everybody is quoting Friday night. I think that we just might. Like, the dude, like, it's ridiculous. But Corncob TV, I wish it existed, to watch, Coffin Flop. He didn't rig shit. They told him that at dinner. Like, there's a lot of, like, quotable things. Plus, the screenshots and just being, like, out of context. Like, I think you should leave, or taking it and being like, here's a screenshot that just works with this. Very enjoyable. Very enjoyable. But he wasn't even a fucking writer for SNL. They're like, you can't write for us because your shit's too fucking weird. Like, and then how Tim Robinson's got a show is ridiculous. There's a Netflix show called Characters, and basically they give a sketch comedian or sketch writer an entire episode to write. So his episode is like 2 sketches, and they're fucking ridiculous. Like, it's him having a conversation with 2 old guys about just nonsense, and they're just talking about how things were back in the day, and he's like 30 something, and these guys are clearly in their 70s and 80s, but nobody is it's like one of those things, like, is the bit here that he's young and acting old? And then you're like, no, that's exactly the bit, because he needs to get his shot. Okay. Like, all right. And then it's just like this guy walks around who is a gangster, and like like Vegas, and he is like spending all this money, throws all of his money on red, it hits black, and then he has to go back and try to ask for all the money because he doesn't have he doesn't have any of the money. So he's like he ordered somebody a steak, and then like try to make them give it back to him, even though they had just eaten it. Like he's trying to force them to vomit. It's ridiculous shit. It's worth checking out.
That sounds great.
Yeah, but like sketch comedy is great. I think SNL's SNL's probably my choice, but MadTV was more accessible because like it was on like Comedy Central in the middle of the day.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Whereas like SNL is so fucking like sanctimonious. Like no, can't have it in syndication. You can't watch old things. No. Which I guess worked for them, but like Lorne Michaels is very much like Vince McMahon. I had that.
Yeah. That's an apt comparison.
I'm feeling old now because I definitely had afternoon SNL. On
Really?
Comedy Central. Yeah.
SNL,
Like in the early days.
Huh. Oh, maybe they just removed it. I don't know. I mean,
it was there. I didn't have a computer, so.
Yeah, I mean, no, but neither. So like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, I don't remember it, but then again, like, so let's see. So if 99, you were 14 in 99, freshman in high school. Okay, so you're only like 7 years older than me. That's nothing. It's only 7 years. Yeah. All right, so it's probably
only one broken mirror of bad luck.
It's only one broken mirror. So yeah, somebody's bad luck had worn out. Hopefully.
Bad dream, broken dreams.
Such a fire
I'll make them come true.
But Lorne Michaels is like Vince McMahon, right? Like he doesn't want anybody being bigger than SNL now because he got burned when guys became bigger than SNL.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
He's been. I honestly, there's a part of me that's just like the 80s were. He left. The 80s happened, and then he came back and said, "Okay, now are you ready to play ball?"
Mm-hmm.
Because Dr. Evil is Lorne Michaels. That's 100%.
Oh yeah, that's the whole bit.
Yeah.
That's the bit. Like Dr. Evil is Lorne Michaels, right?
And like,
so he came back and just he does what he wants now.
Well, I can't blame him because what he wants made him like think of so. Like you have the '80s. They happen. Eddie Murphy is the biggest comedy star, probably arguably the biggest star of the '80s.
Definitely.
I feel like nobody talks about that enough. Like people do, but not enough people, I should say.
Yeah, the Beverly Hills Cop movies are just beautiful, fantastic. He made Judge Reinhold a household name.
Right?
Judge Reinhold.
I'll allow it.
Like and Lorne sets up the stage for Eddie to become like that, but Eddie flies away and becomes this, which if you're Lorne, being the creative but also controlling creative type, you just write that off as okay, that's an anomaly. But then the 90s happens, and literally everybody that come through SNL goes on to become a bigger thing. Like, and Lorne has to attach his name to things to kind of make sure. I mean, like, look at the early Sandler movies. You have the movies with Spade and Chris Farley, and they're Lorne Michaels' fingerprints are all over it. Yeah, Wayne's World. Like, he's like, hey, I got to make sure like these things are still mine, technically, kind of. And then,
it's so weird because he fired the fuck out of Farley and Sandler.
Yeah,
SNL Studios.
Yeah, like he tried to do all these things so that it would become like, for better or for worse, it's attached to Lorne Michaels, right? Like you see the movies end, the first thing you see, executive producer Lorne Michaels.
And at the same time, like it's the SNL thing and it's the Lorne thing. Like, if you are a 90s, like, sort of out there comedy guy, it's The Kids in the Hall, which was also executive produced by Lorne Michaels.
Yep.
And then half of them were on SNL anyways.
Right? Like, it's just like, and the parallel to Vince McMahon, right? Vince McMahon, 80s. Hulk Hogan, man. Hulk Hogan became one of the biggest stars in the world in the 80s because Hulkamania is great. Vince McMahon's greatest creation is Hulk Hogan. And then Hulk Hogan leaves him high and fucking dry and then goes to testify against him. Actually, well, I guess in favor of him, but he takes the stand when it was kind of like the story goes. It's like Vince was like, please don't, Hulk, don't. Just don't do that. Because it's like, we're kind of screwed if you do one way or the other. Either you have to say something mean about me, or you have to lie under fucking oath. Like, it's ridiculous to me that, like, the U.S. government, the United States government, the government of the United States of America was suing Vince McMahon and was putting him on trial because of Dr. Zahorian. Like, it's
and
wild.
25 years later, his wife is running for Senate, and 2 years after that, she's in the cabinet.
Yeah, like, it's
amazing.
It's bonkers.
Absolutely bonkers.
But he gets burned by Hulk Hogan, who leaves. So what does he do? He starts attaching himself to more of his stars. Bret Hart gets involved with like some video, some other media. He doesn't do it without WWE's permission. WWE gets a cut of it. They lend him out. Same with basically anybody. They start putting, guys on TV on some of the USA shows and other media. WWE star Shawn Michaels, WWE star Bret Hart, WWE star all these things, right? And
John Cena on Psych.
Well, I was gonna say,
oh god, that was so good.
I was gonna say his 90. He had Vince McMahon had 90 a boom of 90, where almost every star of his became a household name. Austin, Rock, Triple H, Jericho, Kurt Angle, like the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, Mankind, like the Undertaker, Kane, all these fucking names are like not a 1-to-1 comparison because it's not a 1-to-1 comparison, Lauren to Vince, but like Sandler, Farrell, Farley, Spade, Schneider, all these fucking acts that came from the mid 90s to late 2000s, and then they leave, and then they're going, fuck, we have nothing. And Vince McMahon is trying to get his stars aligned. He keeps picking guys that keep burning him, but that's because he's making a hardline stance from the get-go. He wanted Brock. Brock was like, nah, I want this, and if you're not gonna give it this to me, I'm gonna leave. Like, he tried Benoit and Eddie, and it didn't work as much because one reason or the other. He tried, like Triple H, but Triple H just wasn't as much of a star, and he couldn't be a good babyface. Like,
Well, because he was a B+ player.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true, yeah. A-. I'll give it an A-. His A+ heel, C+, babyface. That unless
well, there was that one video, and I'm not going to name the name of the guy who made it because he's a scumbag.
Oh,
but there's a great video. I'll name the video though because it's great. It's Wrestling Isn't Wrestling, and it's like it goes through the career of Triple H up through the Yes Movement.
Yeah,
and like he's always the B+ player. He's less than everyone else. And then when he puts himself into a position to be the guy who makes the champions, and then here's Daniel Bryan, and he calls him a B+ player, and like it was a big thing. Like the guy was backstage at Raw a bunch, and like Triple H was like, "This guy gets it."
Of course he did. He talked up Triple H.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah, like Triple H. There's one thing Triple H loves. He loves himself some Triple H.
Yep.
But yeah, no, like the Lorne Michael, the Vince McMahon, I don't think it gets talked enough, and it's very funny because like on the flip side, Dana White has become Vince McMahon because he does not want his stars being bigger than the UFC, and thus, that causes issues where,
he hasn't learned that next step.
No, and
so by this analogy, that just makes Conor McGregor and Keenan Thompson Roman Reigns.
No, I would say Keenan Thompson is Roman Reigns. I would say I would probably say.
Is this going to become
boy.
the Paul Pierce conversation again?
No.
Are we going to compare? Are we going to compare 2021 wrestlers to
to SNL? Like yes.
SNL?
Well, no, it's just a matter of like. You can easily draw. The three, Dana White, Lorne Michaels, and Vince McMahon, all three have the same complex right now. Is that they've built these empires to where their brand is synonymous with the genre of entertainment that they do, right? Vince McMahon, WWE is wrestling, and how many people are listening that are AEW fans, like the global perception is WWE is wrestling. When somebody says, I want to be a pro wrestler, they don't say, oh, you want to be a pro wrestler. They go, oh, like WWE. WWE's Kleenex. SNL, I want to be a sketch comedy artist. Oh, you mean like, I think you should leave? No, they go, oh, you want to be on SNL.
Yeah.
You want to be a mixed martial artist. Obviously, you want to go to the UFC, even if you want to go to Bellator, or if you want to go to Pride or fight internationally somewhere else. Like, that's what you want to do. And they're all finding a struggle of, hey, we've built these stars, we've promoted these stars, and they have left us. When they leave, we're actually worse off because now everybody after them is getting compared, and no one is talking about the brand. Vince McMahon has got to a point where nobody is bigger than the WWE, no matter how hard they try. And for better and for worse, mostly worse, but definitely there's a little bit of good in that, is that he's made sure that WWE will always be too big to ever go away.
Yeah, definitely.
Lorne Michaels, like, I wouldn't say, if SNL probably will never go away, even after Lorne no longer is in control of it. Even just because it has been around for 40 fucking years. Like, it's 50, almost 50 years. It'll be 50 years.
Almost 50, yeah.
Like, being a fixture on Saturday night broadcast television, nationwide, global thing. And even in a day when most, like, the Elmo and Rocco thing very much epitomized why SNL is just too fucking slow, because Twitter has already told the joke and they told it better by the time SNL gets their hand on it. But SNL will still be around even past Lorne Michaels because it is SNL, and the TV execs are just going to keep leaning on the legacy.
Right.
UFC.
Then now forever.
Then now forever. The Lorne Michaels story, obviously. And then the UFC with Dana White, he's making sure that the UFC remains the premier MMA, company. And doing it by somehow because he's able, probably mostly because he's underpaying his fighters, and they're just content with it because it's not like Bellator is going to be paying him anymore. Like, they'll get a bigger share of the pot, but it's not any much more. It's not any more than what they're getting at UFC most times.
Plus, they know if that UFC is the biggest stage, and if they want that Jimmy John's money on the back of their ass, then that's the best place to get that Jimmy John's money.
Just subsist on Jimmy John's and Monster.
Like, just think about it. Brock Lesnar is a part-timer in 2 companies that would love to have him and promote him for a big event.
Yeah.
Like, Brock Lesnar could become a part-time UFC fighter where he only fights 1 fight a year and is just the champion, and they're fine with that. And everybody would be and UFC fans would not be okay with that either, which is the funniest thing. Like, they're like, no, he's got to be out there fighting the title. He's got to be defending the title. He doesn't show up about the UFC. Just
and that's the exact same thing the WWE fans are saying.
I love me Brock, though. He's great.
All fairness to Brock,
another Minnesota native, by the way.
Yeah.
Yep. Now he's up in Saskatchewan with Sable and his kids.
Yeah.
I got the new Brock gimmick is everything I want in.
Dude, Cowboy
Brock
is great.
Cowboy Brock talking up Sami Zayn, fake title match, then killing him, and then supporting him the next 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah, Sammy got robbed. Brock, didn't you beat the fucking brakes off of him? Besides the fact he got robbed. Roman's acting like he beat him up. I murdered the guy, all right? All he did was choke him out.
But like Brock's been active and around for a while. Like this doesn't feel like part-time Brock to me. Like it's more, and it still is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also kind of like, you know, not to be the AEW stand in the room.
No, that's Didact.
Hi.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, go,
cool.
Yeah,
It's 2-on-1 today.
It's
Perfect.
2-on-1, and I'm fine with those numbers.
Yeah,
because I like
know.
pro wrestling, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
See, I just like wrestling as a spectacle of theater. So
Yeah,
like,
correct.
Me too.
Yes.
I fucking like, hey, go watch this awesome Impact match. All right, dope.
Yeah.
I'll go watch that. Hey, you see this Ring of Honor thing? No, let me go scope that real quick.
Pro
Like-
wrestling is like my stories. Like I am
Oh yeah.
I am the overtaxed mother sending the kids outside so that I can watch my stories.
Yeah.
Go play with Johnny. I've got to go see. I want to see how tight Dobby's ass is in those tight.
I imagine RB smoking the long cigarette holder thing, where he's just like,
Just got the carton of
there's-
Pall Malls next to him.
those top flight
this.
those top flight boys, they sure can fucking fly.
Look at Ethan Page with that frost on his man titties. He gives me a thirst that can't be quenched.
He's like, that fucking Danhausen, he's a fucking weirdo, but I fucking love him. Oh.
I was literally watching Vloghausen right before we got on the call.
He's a fucking. I like the whole aesthetic, but he's a fucking weirdo.
He's a fucking weirdo. Very nice. Very evil.
Very fucking weird. Well, just like just ripping long cigarettes, just like with children outside begging to be fed. We're hungry. Not now. My stories are playing. I'm watching all 70 hours of wrestling today.
I'm catching up on last year's G1. Didn't you watch that? I want to watch it again.
What? You're watching. What the fuck?
Bring me the knife, pervert. I need him.
Just watching the fucking New Japan Cup. That's it. Just watching the 2020 New Japan Cup. That's it. All 48 fucking people.
There was a guy on Twitter who went through, and I think he's been deplatformed for whatever reason, but he created a Google Excel sheet that is just all of the great matches that you can watch on New Japan up to like 2 years ago. So I could take that list and just like, I'm gonna take 3 weeks off and just watch New Japan, and I would still have the ability to do it 4 more times.
the fucking children outside begging to be fed. Meanwhile, you're screaming, Rainmaker!
Yeah, Kazuchika Okada. That's a good boy there. He likes to get drunk and eat desserts. And then he goes, a Rainmaker!
Fucking watching Omega Okada 2 screaming about, fucking Meltzer gave this 6.5. It's at least 11, you cocksucker! Like,
Yes, that is my argument. Dave Meltzer does not give enough stars to matches. That is my argument.
yeah.
It's like you're inside my head, Grum.
Oh boy, yeah, no, but
Lights coming from inside the house.
calls coming. Oh man, well, you know what? Now that you say that, you remind me. I have to add to the list of things on the dork side. The time Triple H invaded Randy Orton's house. That was
you
insane.
should grab that for the. You should grab the same crew from Pillman's Got a Gun, and then also watch the Edge Orton thing where He's like, I'm calling FTR. I mean, I'm calling Danny and Johnny.
Oh, with Rollins? Yeah. Like I said, yeah, that was funny. You're like the same week you like so some behind the scenes stuff. RB will occasionally message me about how fortuitous or unfortuitous some topics are. Like, oh, if you just would have waited a week or two to do this topic or post this episode. The week that Arn Anderson told Cody Rhodes that he's a bitch and that he would let a guy carjack him, and Arn Anderson would pull out his fucking Glock, point it to a guy's head, and fucking leave him leaking in the street. And B, Seth Rollins invading the home of Edge, and Edge going, fuck, is anybody home? This is not good. Was the week I did Pillman's Got a Gun, where Brian Pillman pulls out a fucking gun on somebody, and that somebody is B, Stone Cold, who is invading his fucking house. And RB's just sending me like 3 messages, all caps. How did you know this was happening? What fucking, are you a fucking wizard? Arn Anderson's got a Glock.
Arn's got a gun.
But yeah, no.
What have you gotta do? Cody ain't staying too. He's gonna become a free agent, and then we'll sing his song for now. Hey!
Beautiful. 10 out of 10.
Adrenaline in my soul. AEW without Cody Rhodes. Oh my God, the people won't boo.
I haven't talked about it on this because this podcast doesn't do like current stuff, mainly because never have people on who are following the current stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's wild that Cody Rhodes is the first guy to leave AEW.
Yeah.
But also makes a whole fuck ton of sense. He's the same guy who left a cushy gig at WWE because he was like, I wasn't creatively satisfied there. Right. They weren't, they wouldn't give me the kind of they wouldn't give me the leash to do some things and have faith in me. So I left, and it's like, oh, that guy left the company that he started so that he could prove that he started in the first place to kind of prove that he can be given that leash, and was shown that he couldn't. So he's gonna go right back to him and be like, hey, you were kind of right. But
maybe with a little bit of structure, I could do my own thing.
Yeah. Maybe some structure by somebody who knows what they're doing that Tony Khan doesn't. Nick Khan, on the other hand, Nick, my guy. That's what Cody's saying.
Did you see? Did you see the news this morning?
No.
That Vince McMahon is expected to be in the ring this year at WrestleMania.
Oh, I did see that. I don't know.
In a program with Pat McAfee.
I mean, I'm all for it.
Which means it's probably going to be him and Austin Theory versus McAfee, but still.
Well, I mean,
dude is 76 years old and
they're setting it up. He's going to be on the podcast.
I don't buy it in the sense that he's going, like, it's the wording of that report is very important because it's not reporting that he's going to be in a match, but he will be in the ring. I don't buy it in the sense that I can absolutely, like, your theory, the theory that it's Austin Theory versus Pat McAfee or Austin Theory with Vincent in his corner. That I could see.
Special guest referee Vincent
but
Kennedy
like,
McMahon.
Yeah, like,
I'm sorry. Are you saying you don't buy that Vincent Kennedy McMahon, the 76-year-old man, doesn't have the ego to say this is going to be the best WrestleMania ever? Austin's going to wrestle, and so am I.
I mean, I also don't buy Steve Austin wrestling.
Yeah, me neither.
Like,
no.
If he wanted to wrestle, I'm sure he would have wrestled. I'm sure he would have gone, hey, Vince, let me go do the job proper. Let me get back in the ring. Let me work. Like, it makes no sense that we're a month away from WrestleMania and there's not been one, like he hasn't been on TV to do it, because that's not a surprise. You don't surprise people that Stone Cold, because guess what happens if you do that and then it's not Stone Cold at WrestleMania? People are going to be sad. People are going to be very upset.
My expectation is that's why. So Owens is going to continue to badmouth Texas for no good reason, and then maybe 2 weeks out, when Vince needs a last push for ticket sales, that's when Austin gets on TV.
I mean, I could also see him wrestling. I mean, we already know the Undertaker is going to be there, so I could just see the Undertaker coming out and just choke slamming him, giving him a power bomb, and that's it. Like,
yeah, that's, I guess.
Like, that's, and again, that's why I'm not getting it. That's why I don't believe it.
Sure,
It's just,
yeah.
Like both of those things are still, like, that's the reason, right? If you do the surprise thing and all it is the Undertaker coming out and power bombing and choke slamming Kevin Owens, it's disappointing. And that's saying something because it's the fucking Undertaker, who we haven't seen since he retired, and it's still going to be cool to see the Undertaker come out, ride a motorcycle down, and beat the fuck out of Kevin Owens for talking sideways about Texas.
But we haven't seen Austin in a ring in over a decade.
That's the point, right? You have these, that this is objectively a cool thing, especially if it's like, even if it's just regular Undertaker in his trench coat coming down and doing it, that's still going to be cool.
Oh yeah.
But it's not as cool as Austin coming. So that's why I'm like, they would just, if I'm them, I just have Austin show up tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Monday. Is that the first, and be like, hey, motherfucker.
Yeah, it's time. It's go time.
Yeah.
Like this is if this is what you're like, this is the window.
Mm-hmm.
You've had your week to get over the blood money trip, and get all that stuff sorted into stories. This, like, Monday is the time.
Mm-hmm. But to your point, Didac, yeah, wrestling is absolutely theater, art of theater.
Oh yeah. Well, and we've talked about this, Grum. We've had this conversation. RB, we've had this conversation. Even to the extent that, like, GTA roleplay is wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Where it's all for the drama of it.
Yep.
And, like, putting on, like, the show, you have your spots, and, like, it's GTA is a little bit different because it's not scripted, but you still have a lot of parallels in there.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've talked about it here plenty of times. Is that just a lot of entertainment is like pro wrestling is entertainment the same way that, like, doing a stunt in a movie is. Like, you trust everybody's going to do the thing and everybody gets to walk away and go home.
Yeah, do you like Nitro Circus? You might like wrestling.
Yeah,
it's literally just it's a stunt show with a story.
Exactly. Like, that's the thing. It's the story. It's characters, which is, and we'll talk about it afterwards. But having the two of you on, some people who I can have that nuanced conversation about pro wrestling with, is good. But today, the reason I brought up SNL and MadTV and Lorne Michaels and all that stuff, today we are talking about, coincidentally, in 1999, February 1999 to be precise, there was on WCW Monday Nitro a match between Hall of Famer, the best there ever is, best there ever was, the best there ever will be, Bret Hart, and MadTV cast member and wrestling superfan Will Sasso.
Oh God.
Oh man.
Like I said, I had to find something that I knew the two of you probably did not know about entirely. But this happened. In fact, this was not just built up over one episode, like, oh hey, we have Will Sasso over this week. Will Sasso's here this week. No. This was multiple weeks, multiple television shows, multiple networks of build. The 2 weeks prior to their match on MadTV, the February 6th episode of MadTV 1999, Bret Hart was a guest host. Bret Hart was involved in some skits where Will Sasso did a Jesse Ventura, impression. But MadTV, WCW being super smart, made it into a worked shoot skit That's right. They made a skit on the show look like it actually was real life acting happening, and it was bad. We're not watching that. Don't worry. Will Sasso, but basically, Will Sasso has to stop Bret Hart from being too physical with some of the cast members. Like, he drops character, all that stuff, and then Bret Hart beats the absolute piss out of him. Following Monday Nitro, Bret Hart loses the U.S. title to Roddy Piper, who is Will Sasso's friend. Will Sasso is involved in the match, prevents Bret Hart from bringing the ref over to make the count on, for Bret Hart, and Roddy Piper rolls him up, gets the 1, 2, 3, and then Will Sasso is celebrating as if he won, realizes, oh shit, Bret Hart's an athlete, let me get the fuck out of here, and then Bret Hart wants to beat his ass. So, what we're going to watch is from the Monday Nitro, February 15th, 1995. I don't know what episode that is on the Peacock Network, but we are going to watch that, and when we come back, we'll talk about what we saw, and probably talk about more wrestling in general. This will be a wrestling-heavy episode, as I probably said in the intro, here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast.
Hey everybody, Grum here, just to tell you a little bit about what we got working on over at Grum.tv, which is both a community Discord link, but also just everything that I'm working, just me, it's my content. We're about to get back to a regular level of content production this month here. Starting mainly with like what's going on Patreon. Patreon gets early access to everything I'm doing, Dork Side of the Rings, YouTube videos, everything. We've got on the Patreon right now at support.grum.tv. Got from episode 18, myself, It's Only Jill, and Mop Garden watching the debut of the Yeti, which happened during Halloween Havoc 1995. We'll also watch a part of that is Hogan versus the Giant, just to lead into it, so it's not just out of fucking nowhere, it's good stuff. We also got next week's episode up and early. You'll find out what the episode is at the end of this episode, or if you're already a patron, you'll already see it. Also on the Patreon coming this month will be some early access to YouTube videos such as my Poison only Gen 3 Grumlock, also a Soul Lock, a Gen 3 Soul Lock, Pokemon Emerald to be specific, but randomized with me and my pal the Atomic Bear, who has been on the podcast before. We also got Pip-Boy and Me episode 2. We also got Six to My Stomach. That's been done in everything but actually producing it. I've got all the stuff I need for it in terms of video and whatnot. All that good. We also got the fun on the Patreon. We'll have myself, Roby, and Jim Jam watching December due to Dismember. That'll be on the Patreon for the elite of the elite tier. You go to support.grum.tv and you can become a patron today. Let's stop it. Let's get back to the episode.
We're back on the Dork Side of the Ring. We just saw one of the greatest betrayals in professional wrestling history. I think it's suffice to say. I think without a doubt, what we saw was a disgrace, a absolute, as Gorilla Monsoon would say, a Pearl Harboring of just epic proportions. We saw Deborah Wilson from MadTV turn her back on Will Sasso with the 3 lightest chair shots I've ever seen.
The first one was almost looked good.
Almost, yeah. I mean, Gravity was doing a number on her dress. Like,
It was.
yeah. there's no other way to say it. Gravity was doing a number on her. Her titty was falling out.
She was most certainly having some difficulty hitting her friend and castmate in the back with a steel chair because she's a normal human being.
That's true. That's also a thing. I'm sure Will Sasso said, "Go ahead, Deb, just fucking light me up."
Will Sasso, the mankind of the Mad TV.
I still can't get over just like the fact that this happened. There's a lot of Will Sasso's like involvement with professional wrestling is very fucking weird. Because there's this, right? There's this 3 week, three week over 2 different networks of shows storyline.
He did a program with Bret Hart.
He did. He worked the match with Bret Hart on Monday Nitro, not on like Saturday, not on this, not on a pay-per-view, on their television. They're like this and that, which is like wrestling has always and will always involve celebrities because it's entertainment. Sometimes it goes a little too far. Sometimes it pays off. And then there's Will Sasso. And then there's also Jeremy Piven. And
David Arquette.
David Arquette definitely went too far. That's David
Arquette went too far. Mike Mizanin went too far.
Whoa!
Whoa!
No, you don't. I know I didn't have.
Get the man's name out your mouth.
I know you did not just come onto my show and tell me
Mike Mizanin
and said that the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time went too far. That the A-lister went too far. That the man that Cody Rhodes wishes he was.
100%. 100%.
See, I'm just here to stir the pot at this point.
I see that. It is some bullshit. You're going to say The Miz went too far. The Miz headlined WrestleMania and beat John Cena. He is one of only, 4 champions to go into WrestleMania as champion and main event and walk out with the championship.
He is historically the person with the least disgusting and unwatchable pro wrestlers reality TV show. Ms. and Mrs. is.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the real world.
Also the real world.
Also the real world. He's the best.
He's a double Grand Slam champion. The only double Grand Slam champion.
Listen, I will always have an immense amount of respect for The Miz because he ate shit from fans and wrestlers alike for so long. And now he is like the second highest paid, not part-time guy in the company, and he deserves it. He's fantastic.
He is without a doubt he is the guy that you can he's their most reliable worker. He's only been hurt once.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened this past year. He is without a doubt the go-to celebrity guy, which it's very funny to see that Sami Zayn is becoming that guy, which speaks very highly of how they view Sami Zayn. If they're like, hey, we want you to be the guy who is associated with celebrities.
They're 2 different kinds of celebrity interactions, but they're both really good at it.
Yeah. Sammy pining for help and going to Logan Paul. While I hate Logan Paul, it's a fucking brilliant move by him in WWE to be like, hey, let's get Logan Paul over here. Hey, and at the same, it's just wild that they've flipped. So last year, you had The Miz with Bad Bunny and Sami Zayn with
work. Speaking
Buddy,
of guys who put in the work,
greatest fucking celebrity of all time is Bad Bunny, without a doubt. The man took an F5. Also, I don't know if you noticed this. He's a tall motherfucking dude. I think he's 6'3", 6'4". There's a moment in the Rumble where he's got his legs spread out so much so that he looks shorter, and he's slunched over, looking up at Brock Lesnar, so Brock Lesnar looks a lot bigger than him. The man knows what he's doing, damn it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, Sammy had Logan Paul. They flipped. Logan Paul is now on the Miz's side, and you've got Sami Zayn looks like he's gonna be wrestling 1-on-1 with Johnny Knoxville. I can't. Yeah. And it's gonna be enjoyable.
Potentially defending the Intercontinental Championship against Johnny Knoxville.
I doubt that I doubt he'll be defending it, but I would not be surprised. He might be. But here's my thing. That'd be one outside of last year's Nigerian drum fight. I can't think of another time the Intercontinental title was defended on Mania, the main card. I guess it was what, Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn, right?
Yeah.
I mean, aside from if you want to count that ladder match, but yeah, that Zack Ryder one.
Yeah, I mean, for a couple of years, it just wasn't on the main card, or if it was, but it really wasn't like featured.
Yeah, because the year that Seth cashed in was year that DB won in the second match because Rollins had to be in the first match and take the greatest RKO out of nowhere in his
31. It opened with the Intercontinental title match because that's where where Brody, rest in peace, murdered Ambrose with the power bomb. And then the second match was Rollins eating the.
Was Rollins versus?
Yeah, was Orton.
32
was the
Texas was the ladder match
where Ryder
where
won.
Zack Ryder won. Yep.
33 probably was on the pre-show, I think. Like it's so wild that like people like outside of WWE, people will still say the Intercontinental title is prestigious, and it's like it hasn't been for a while, guys. Like it's really, okay. Yeah. We can say that it was.
There's been times where it's been elevated, but it hasn't been prestigious.
That's right. You know who elevated it? Mike the Miz Mizanin main evented a pay-per-view over AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose with Dolph Ziggler in a career versus title match. Okay, you put respect on the Miz's name. Damn it.
That's what this whole conversation really.
That's
means.
really what this is.
He is the greatest Intercontinental champion of all time. That man 100%. Had the Intercontinental title and was fucking roasting Daniel Bryan and saying zero false, 100% facts about how if he was really loved pro wrestling, he would go out there, he would leave WWE and he would go wrestle. And he's like, if you loved pro wrestling, you would do it, Daniel, but you don't anymore because it doesn't love you like you loved it. And I'm like, yo! And he's like, that's why you run scared, because you're afraid, because you don't work smart. You're a coward. And I'm like, yo! And it took a while, but we got the payoff. I would have loved that. That should have been we should have got a Miz title run through to Mania 35. Kofi Mania was great. And I'd never give away the feeling of, I would never give back the feeling of Kofi Mania for anything. But I was fantasy booking the fuck out of the Miz versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. I was giving the Miz I was giving Miz
that old NXT rivalry coming right back.
Right, I was giving Miz a 9-month title run from SummerSlam to Mania. Disgusting. But I mean, we didn't have to get Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins, so it could just still work. But yeah. So WrestleMania 33, Ambrose defended the title against Baron Corbin on the pre-show.
Against the now happy Corbin.
I love Happy Corbin. He was down bad. He was down bad. Down bad Corbin is the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 34 had
Hobo Corbin.
Hobo Corbin.
Corbin.
34 had Rollins, Miz, and Finn Balor for the Intercontinental title. That's right.
That was a great match. That was New Orleans, right?
Which involves the Miz again. That's right. I'm gonna sit here and
greatest Intercontinental champion, greatest Intercontinental championship match.
My boy Finn.
Mm-hmm.
Balor in his pride tights with the pride shirt.
Yep.
Oh,
I fucking cried.
Baby.
I cried when I saw that.
He's so good.
It's so good.
And then the following year, was not on the. It was not on the. It wasn't. It wasn't even on the card.
Show.
Yeah. You had the Cruiserweight title, the Raw tag titles, SmackDown titles, the Women's tag titles. You had the WWE Championship US title. Oh no, you did. Oh, that's right. Hold on, you did have it. It was a semi-main event. It was the second to last match. I forgot that this match happened. It's Finn Balor defeating Bobby Lashley for the Intercontinental title.
There we go.
Yeah,
We do love Fergal Devitt in this house.
We do.
We do. Yes, we do. He back.
Who's like 42.
Which is it's mind blowing. That's one of the things that always gets me about wrestling is like you see all these guys and they look like young dudes and they're like in their 40s. And then there's dudes that are, like MJF who are 25, 26.
And then there's dudes who are like they're 20 until a switch flips, and then you have Dad Bod Chris Jericho in New Japan.
Right. Well, and see that's what's weird for me is like so Top Flight when Dante came out of the academy in Minnesota, he was immediately the WrestlePalooza champion. And
he was like 17, right?
He was 17 at the time. Yeah, he just graduated high school. Like they wouldn't put the strap on him until he graduated high school. And like that was his graduation present from Eric Cannon was, "Here, you're the champ now." But it's weird because there's like I look at all these wrestlers and I'm like, is there nobody like around my age wrestling? Like is there no children of the 90s that like made it?
I mean, they did and they didn't. Like you got to think about it. Like so, children of the '90s right now are mid 30s.
We're early mid 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, it's Ambrose, it's Reigns, it's Rollins, it's my brain just stopped working. It's Kazuchika Okada.
Yeah.
It's Jay White. There's a lot of those guys, but there are still so many big stars. It's almost it's
Cody Rhodes.
It's Cody Rhodes. It's dentist and embezzler Ted DiBiase Jr.
Dentist and embezzler. That's the official title.
I'm looking at it right now. Of wrestlers that are the same age as myself. Looking at it right now, we have Dewdrop, Ruby Soho, Alexa Bliss, Adam Page, and Britt Baker are all 30, 31 this year.
I could have sworn Adam Page was younger, but he really is just a couple months older than me. Like I just turned 30, and he's got me by almost exactly 6 months. He's July 27th. I'm
July
January
27th.
28th.
Yeah.
According to famous birthdays, the 37-year-olds, it's a pretty good group. Eve Torres is only 37. That's kind of shocking. Owens, Zayn, Corbin, Eva Marie, all read everything. TJP, JTG, Dax Harwood, Maddox, Hollywood Ryan Nemeth. Yeah. They're out there.
Yeah, like Pac is 35. Like there are absolute like it's basically that if you were a guest on the Art of Wrestling with Colt Cabana from his inception until like 2015, 2016, that's that age, right? If you wrestled in Chikara, if you wrestled in the late 2000s, early 10s ROH, like Jimmy Jacobs, like that's really and like it's just I wouldn't call it a lost generation. It's a generation where you either went to WWE and burnt out, or you didn't make it, and because you never made it, and working at Ring of Honor every weekend wasn't cutting it for you, so you kind of like you kind of left. Like it's like the independent generation after Punk, but weren't inspired by Punk. Like we're starting to get the guys who were inspired by Punk now, like MJF, Ricky Starks, like a lot of those guys, Darby Allin, like a lot of those. I mean, even Starks is 32, but like Starks is, I feel like started later than some, but he's 30. I mean, he's 30 fucking two. Like it's fucking wild to me that I think of Ricky Starks as a fresh new face who is newer to
No, you gotta-
professional wrestling.
You gotta say it like Taz. Ricky Starks.
Ricky Starks. Like,
Stocks.
you know, and it's also just funny because like a lot of the guys who are, you know, are our age at, you know, early 30s or even, you know, like in their 30s, the guys who were the picturesque pro wrestlers never made it.
No.
Like Brian Cage is somebody who wasn't picturesque, and then he became picturesque and is like in this weird limbo spot. Like,
I'm still shocked. I'm still shocked that TK re-signed him.
right?
I'm shocked that Brian Cage took the deal because he was allegedly very upset,
Yeah.
and with good reason. But then again, maybe it's just that he's not that good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, like Uno and Stu are other Chikara guys, like who are in their late, like mid 30s. Evil Uno's 34. Stu, I think, is right around there. Like, it's just when I think of like professional wrestlers that like I saw them when they started. You know, it's guys like Uno Dos. It is you know, the Ant Colony, Chuck Taylor. You know, it's just this. They're all in AEW or in WWE, but if they're in WWE, they're at the fucking top. Like, and it's very clear who the best of that crop was because they're the ones who made it the farthest.
Yeah,
and like.
Oh yeah.
I love Chuck Taylor. I will forever... Chuck Taylor yelling at children and Chuck Taylor taking an invisible grenade is forever embedded into my mind as moments of just pure wrestling enjoyment. But, you know, and I'm sure that, you know, it's not a slight to him because what he's doing is great. I mean, he's one of the more reliable guys on that roster, and he's teaching guys like Yuta's under his wing. And
yeah.
Yuta Wheeler is fucking insane.
I love Yuta Wheeler.
Yuta's fantastic.
Like,
I love watching him wrestle. Even jobbing as he is to bigger guys almost every time he wrestles on the main shows, he still looks like $1 million. I love it.
Like, it's just great. Like, he's 25 from Philadelphia. It's everything I want in a professional wrestler. Are you from Philadelphia? Cool. Do you not make Philadelphia look like a schmuck? Awesome. Good. Like, he absolutely, like, he's got the look, and AEW is doing a lot of good work at identifying the guys who in 10 years are going to be really important to professional wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh,
Whether
yeah,
or not they
absolutely.
stay is another thing. Like, I still don't understand how Fred Yehi is not on, not in AEW. That guy's ridiculous. There's a lot of guys that I'm like, well, if you're gonna pick that guy, you also gotta pick up this guy, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm like it's so interesting. Like, there's this weird theoretical space in my head that is, what does AEW look like a year after, like, we don't have a winter like this last one for the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there's so many of those guys where, like, this, like, people started saying, yeah, TK's got too many guys on the roster. To which TK said, yeah, wrestling was closed for a year. I hired everybody because Vince was an asshole. Like, what is that going to look like in a few years when when the roster slims down a little bit and they're rotating guys more evenly for time off and vacations and injuries and stuff? And I wonder what that roster is going to look like when he makes it leaner intentionally. And I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder what this big news that's about to be announced. I'm assuming it's some sort of a streaming deal, but we'll see.
I have no idea. Like, I mean, it better be good. Otherwise, we're going to start calling Tony Khan Dixie Carter again. Like, the guy has he's got an announcement every 2 weeks, and he teases them.
But they
hit.
Usually come through.
Oh, no, and that's what I'm saying. They do. But they're all, like, even despite that, people are like, wow, like, Tony's really pre-announcing announcements a lot. This is weird. Like, That's weird.
Yeah.
That's weird behavior. It's like every time it hits, which is good, but when people are still going, you can just announce things. You don't have to tell me you're going to announce things. That's the first part of it. The second part comes if they don't hit consistently. Like if he goes and it gets like, and there's going to be the first time it happens, there's going to be people going, oh, he's just like Dixie Carter announcing things and they just don't believe. It's like, like he said the Hall of Fame talent and it turns out to be Christian. That was the first one.
Yeah, that
right?
was
like, you're like, oh, there's all this Hall of Fame talent that's out there right now. Maybe don't have your guy go out there and say Hall of Fame talent. Maybe have him write like, and you know, you can honestly defend it / explain it. Some people will say it's defending, it's explaining, but it's like, oh, hey, look, like, that was big. That's Paul White's. That's his saying that. That's not Tony. Tony let him say that. Tony said, hey, I want you to announce that there's a guy going to be at Double or Nothing, or that's going to be debuting at Double or Nothing. He's going to be signing a contract. All this stuff. Okay. Oh fuck, Paul. Why did you say Hall of Fame talent? Everybody's going to be expecting a certain level, and when it turns out to be Christian, it's going to kind of fall flat. But it shouldn't. But it will.
right.
That was the first one.
Yeah.
But ever since then, it's always been a hit. Like,
yeah, he kind of got hoisted a little bit on Kendrick.
yeah,
But that really just goes to show you the internet wrestling community and the people who, the people on both sides who have who will do the dumpster dive into years of video just to make the company they don't prefer look bad.
well, it wasn't even, so. It was just. What's wild is that Kendrick is released from his contract Monday.
Yeah.
Monday night, he's announced that he's going to wrestle for AEW. Like, less than 12 hours. First off, if WWE gave a shit, they could probably get him for tampering. Because, well, that's kind of fucking weird. Why, less than 12 hours after you're released from a contract, you already have a national televised match up in line? How'd you work that out? Huh. But they're not going to do that over fucking Brian Kendrick. They don't give a fuck.
Right. Yeah.
If they did, they wouldn't have released them. Like, it's just
right.
But again, it's one of those like, whoo, that's getting buried under everything that happened afterwards, because it's everybody else who has been let go waited 90 days,
90,
right? And then they waited Keith Lee just debuted. His 90 days were up a couple weeks ago. People still wait for Bray Wyatt to debut. Like, I don't think he's going to. I don't think if AEW wanted Wyndham Rotunda, they would have had Wyndham Rotunda. Like, I
think that's still a big question. I think, like, because he was working on the movie, and I think that, like, him taking a step back and just waiting until it's actually a surprise.
Yeah.
Like, that feels like the move to me if you love wrestling, and he loves wrestling.
Well,
but he might end up showing back up in WWE for that matter.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, and the thing with Bray is, you know, him leaving WWE and then working on himself, and then the whole thing with Brody's passing hit him really, really hard.
Yeah.
So he's like, it's understandable that he's taking so much time to get back, if he's coming back.
There's also like,
and we say this in the streaming community all the time. You take care of you first.
Yeah.
We'll be here when you get back. Just go take care of you.
Yeah, and he absolutely should. Like, it's very clear that something that he had always struggled to do in WWE is stay not in shape, but like stay presentable. Like, there'd be times where it's like, oh, he's not, you know, Bray Wyatt or The Fiend isn't wrestling as much. So all he's doing is coming out, having a promo, and that's about it, right? And he does the house show circuits and whatnot, but you know, doing multi-man matches, being hurt a lot also hurt him. But being able to be reliably in shape, like this is the thing where like Kevin Owens never had this, even on the main roster when he was a husky gentleman. No one ever questioned his cardio. Even when he was carrying around a 30-pound stomach. Like no one questioned, oh fuck, like Kevin can't go. Nah, Kevin can go. You got a 40-minute match out of Kevin Owens at all times.
Yeah.
Bray Wyatt, though, you get that 15-minute mark and you're like, ooh, first off, you're not, like, your wrestling, your character work does a lot of the carrying of matches.
Sure.
And if the story's great, I don't give a fuck. That match could be dog shit for 45 minutes, as long as the story pays off. But, like, WrestleMania 33, once the story started to wear off in that wrestling match, well, brother, that was kind of a bad title match, and it was not enjoyable as much. It was, wow.
That story was real played out by that point.
Oh, it absolutely. But it was a good story. We got to the point where we need. All right, cool. Let's hammer it the fuck home. Let's do it. He set fire to your house, and I'm gonna play the mind game still. It's like, all right, come on. Like
I'm gonna project cicadas and cockroaches on the
like that's getting revenge for a man burning down your complex. Like, what? And this goes back to, and this is my thing about pro wrestling. They're kind of teased to. I like characters. But I like when my characters are consistent with the story they're telling. That's one example where like Bray Wyatt's unhinged. He should be unhinged. He should be violent. It should take him to another level. And he's just like the same guy against a man who played him, lied to him, tore apart his house, and then lit his complex on fire. He should bring a gun with him and shoot him dead right as soon as he steps into the ring. Like, right? Similarly, like the Young Bucks when they had their feud against MJF and Chris Jericho, and they beat the ever living piss and left their Papa Buck bleeding like a stuck pig. What do they do when they come out for the match? We're just gonna do a regular match. It's whatever. We're the same flippy guys, and it's like you can't tell me in one facet that something means A to you. And then when it shows time to show what that means, you act as if it's just another day.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's kind of this, like, there was a weird aspect to it that really, to my mind, was very like, this is what we're doing, but they're not a real tag team. Like, we care about fighting real tag teams. Which, fair or unfair, I mean, they got their dad involved, but I like, as an example, I know we've had discussions about this, Grum. The giving people the Bucks FTR match so soon.
Yep.
And then moving away from it. It quasi makes sense because everyone wants the match. And this match has been built up on YouTube for years. But they only worked 3 weeks on the TV show and had a hell of a match. But then the match is gone.
Yep.
Like, it's over. What unless we're gonna end up with what's gonna happen. My expectation is next week that the Bucks will get into the tag match, so the Bucks versus Red Dragon will be the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're gonna get Paige, and it's gonna be Paige and the Bucks, and Paige and, because there's 2 Pages, Jesus Christ. Adam Page and the Bucks, or there's 2 Adams. Adam Page and the Bucks, Adam Cole and Red Dragon, and it's gonna be, Bullet Clubby and stuff.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens, especially with Jay White around.
Right.
Jay White.
The knife pivot.
Some Kiwi knife perversion. When I popped so hard when Chuck T called him a knife pervert in the Mark Henry promo on Rampage, I I almost had to pause it and go take a shower. Like, oh, thank you, Chucky.
Freaking knife pervert. But yeah,
Love
no,
him so much.
but like
He's not as dirty as he used to be. He's got the
No,
his
yeah, he's cleaned
goatee
a
is very well. He's cleaned himself up, but he's staying, a little grizzly.
mhm.
Ugh.
What
I really want is for him to get number 10 because he's got the tallies like what he does.
yeah,
number
yeah.
10 number 10 should join the Bullet Club.
Yeah. I mean,
And
look,
be the heater for Jay White.
here's the thing. I enjoy the fuck out of the Gorillas of Destiny. I know they've fallen off in terms of in-ring quality, but this goes back to my point. As a character, as a personality, there's few people with the kind of personality that Tama Tonga's got in New Japan, right? Like, it's it's not necessarily charisma. Like, I mean, Okada's definitely the most charismatic wrestler on that roster and has been for many years now.
Eons.
Yeah, like it's just, and it's also wild that he's like still younger than Roman Reigns. Like he's like 34, and it's I just feel like Okada has been Okada for 10 years now. I feel like
He was already, like, before they threw out the lineage, he was the longest reigning New Japan IWGP heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
Period. Longer than Tanahashi, longer than everyone on that storied roster. Like, he had already had it. And there was never anything like the Roman factors. Like, he was pushed too fast. That was Naito.
Yeah.
Naito was pushed too fast and got the Roman treatment.
Yep.
But like, and he was just there. Oh, Okada's gonna win the championship again? Makes sense. He's the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah. He's on
got
a level.
That face, and and there's pictures of him getting real drunk on champagne and eating dessert.
Depressed Okada was my favorite.
Depressed Okada was so good.
Walking out with
a balloon and the red rooster streak down the middle of his blonde hair.
Yes, that like just I don't have the title. I don't know. I have this balloon. Like, it's like Kazuchika Okada. What are you doing now? I don't know. I don't know what it's like to not have the title. And then he finds his again my big issue with a lot of New Japan stuff now is Gato still thinks it's 2018, and he's missing 70% of what made 2018 for New Japan. Like, you got Okada, that's true, and you have
injured Tanahashi.
You have the group that is Bullet Club. You just don't have the guys who made Bullet Club be what they were in 2018. You don't have your Omegas. You don't have your Bucks. You don't have your Finns. You don't have these guys who you don't have
AJ Styles.
You don't have anybody of like Jay White is undoubtedly, objectively, the worst leader of the Bullet Club. But that's also
but that's not because Jay White is
correct.
Bad. That's because he's being compared to Kenneth by God Omega.
And AJ Styles, and Prince Devitt. Yeah. Like that's a lot. That's a great company. Look, I'll gladly be the last of the group when you have those four guys. They're absolutely sure. I'll take that. But
well, it's tough. And he's trying to do the thing with the House of Torture and like the Bullet Club Civil War.
Yeah.
But I don't want it doesn't quite work the same because there's always going to be that sense that evil, very nice, very evil, that he is not a member of Bullet Club. He is the betrayer of LIJ.
Yeah.
So him leading a faction, even with, because it's him, ELP, and Taiji Ishimori, the man with the most abs per pound in the world. The king of the handsome wrestler match. But in Bullet Club. Why? I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like
it's
ELP like fits the Bullet Club, incredibly. Like
I love ELP. I love ELP. He's so fucking scummy, and I love it.
mm-hmm.
Like that's like Jay White has a little bit of that in him, but he's too pretty.
Like when ELP debuted in Impact, I'm like, fuck yes, give me ELP over here the whole time. Like I was just wanting, and then he goes back, and then they trade him in for Jay White. I'm like, oh, this is serious now. Like we're not just sending like members of the Bullet Club. We're going to send Jay White to Impact.
We're not just sending the American members of Bullet Club who are in Strong.
Yeah. We're going to send the Bullet Club leader. And then months later, we're basically going to be like, we're also then going to be like, hey, Chris Bay, you're now a member of Bullet Club. And I'm like, nah, this is good. Because Chris Bay is incredible, and is somebody that in 3 years, if he's not on a main roster of WWE or in AEW, that's a failure on all of their parts. Like,
yeah, absolutely, 100%.
He's got everything you need,
or he's gonna be the guy in New Japan.
Yeah,
like he could be that too.
Yeah, I could see him, main eventing night 7 of Wrestle Kingdom against Okada.
Genuinely, I think that the biggest problem of Bullet Club is that Kenny and the Bucks made it about them and not about Bullet Club very specifically, because they never, like, the Bullet Club wasn't what they wanted, it's what they were given.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we want to do our own thing. And when they left, the guys who were left didn't pull it back up. Like, and even Jay White was a guy who rebuked the Bullet Club, joined Chaos, stabbed Okada in the back like everyone knew he would, and then joined the Bullet Club. Like, what? What happened?
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting. I think we're going to see a lot of interesting things. I really want to know how Gato's going to book his way out of this, because Gato is, to my mind, the most consistent booker. Because he has a story, he decides what's going to happen, and it mostly works out for him. Like, I feel like TK likes new shiny things but has internal consistency, and Vince is just a good booker who wants to give the best thing, and what happened 6 months ago doesn't matter because I know how short your attention span is.
Yeah. I think the comparison of those three is, I think that's a pretty on par with what I think. Like, I think Tony and Didac, you can, I'd like to get your thoughts on it, just because, like,
sure. Yeah.
So I think Tony had a plan up until to getting Adam Page the world title, right? I think he looked at Adam Page as the guy that they would hitch their wagon to. He was the youngest member of the Elite. He was the one with the most promise, could get the most run out of him. That's why I think he's going to have the shortest title reign of all the champions, because he's going to be the first to have multiple.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now is when it's like, okay, time to go TK, because you've had 3 years of planned. You're like a football coordinator, head coach. You had the 15 play sheet, 15 plays. It's the third quarter now, and you need to make adjustments. Hey, you now have actual marketable stars with brand name recognition in CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole, people who have had national television exposure on the bigger company globally, and you need to make them feel special.
Yeah. And you also have your pillar guys who are the guys who, MJF is that guy. Like, MJF making hay out of, what am I going to do when my contract expires?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a great story because he is a total fucking scumbag and I love him. That's the thing. Like, MJF has never tried for a championship. I don't think. He just has his ring and he's just doing his thing, which is great because he doesn't need a championship to do his thing, except for when, he's feuding with Chris Jericho for 8 months.
Yeah,
That's the one.
So
I
like,
need-
when you
Go ahead.
look at like those bigger guys that they brought in who have had their, not necessarily that they're past their prime, but that they've had their time in the sun in WWE with Punk and Danielson and Jericho and to some extent Christian. You look at those guys, it's like you also have to come at it with the mentality that TK probably doesn't want to be like, hey, we're just gonna shovel the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need to give these other people their shot. Like, yeah, we have these guys. They would make great champions. But do we really want to look like WWE 2.0?
No.
Do we really want to look like both pre and post Dixie Carter TNA?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right.
Do we want to look like both TNA and Impact? Sorry.
So like, to your point, Didact, I think you can do that without giving them the title, right? But,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. Does Punk feel special anymore?
He still feels special because it's that kind of like, old bird coming to roost kind of thing where he left in a bad place and now he's back in a place where he loves being in it again, and having these feuds with younger wrestlers like MJF and other guys, that he's getting the like, yeah, I've been in this shit forever, come prove yourself against me, which makes it entertaining. I feel like it makes it entertaining because he's like, hey, you watch me growing up, you wanna fucking fight your hero?
Well,
yeah, I love the what they're doing right now with Moxley and Danielson. Like,
yes.
that, like they're gonna have a blood feud and then come together to run the company. Like, yeah, I can imagine Wheeler Yuta or Daniel Garcia.
Oh my god,
just amazing.
Could you just imagine Daniel Garcia having his coach, trainer, mentor be American Dragon Bryan Danielson? Who is openly. That's it. Like, this is the thing. I don't think Punk doesn't feel as special. Cole doesn't feel as special as he did it in NXT, and I don't think
Cole didn't even feel special to me in NXT.
Personally. That's interesting because Adam Cole was NXT. Like, the minute he walked in, I was like, oh, Adam Cole is special here. He's important. And even when he wasn't at the top of the card, when he was feuding surrounding the North American Championship and just being, hey, I'm Adam Cole. This is Bobby Fish. This is Kyle O'Reilly. We're Undisputed Era. We just fuck shit up. We do what we want. Like, we're here because we want to be here and we want to make this place our bitch. Felt special. It got more special as time went, to the point where as Adam Cole went, the entire brand went. So when Adam Cole is not on television, NXT didn't feel right.
So what I feel like is, at least in the sense of Adam Cole, Adam Cole was like the last bastion holding NXT back from NXT becoming what it is now. Like, he was basically the embodiment of all the years before, when we had all the Full Sail, stuff, up until that big shift, and we lost Zayn, we lost Finn, Nakamura, like, all those guys left. And then you had Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, and Tommaso Ciampa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, these are the last guys of Triple H's big push.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Cole leaves, and it's like, well, I guess we're done here. Let's rebrand the whole thing. Let's get rid of Regal. Let's just redo it.
Yeah, there's a lot to be there's a lot to unpack about the end of NXT 1.0 and the beginning of 2.0. Like, there's so much was going on there.
There's a
But
lot
yeah.
going. Yeah, there's a lot going
There's
on.
still going on.
A lot of politicking going on. I think I like it because what I enjoyed about early NXT was seeing a lot of people I did not know, seeing talent like Enzo Amore, seeing talent like The Ascension. Everybody will talk about how Shinsuke or Asuka, all these people were ruined when they went to the main roster. The Ascension was ruined.
The Ascension was done so fucking dirty.
Don't talk to me about wrestling acts being ruined by the main roster. And if I say the Ascension and you blow that off, you're just not. You don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about yet.
I disagree, but I can see when somebody goes, Shinsuke Nakamura was ruined, Asuka was ruined, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, Asuka's like, one of the most decorated women's champs of all time. Shinsuke Nakamura is consistently...
He's consistently great and living his dream life surfing in California.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like it's
taking
very
pictures
clear
of water towers in every single town he goes to.
Like he does. Like he is not as good as he was when he was wrestling AJ Styles in the Tokyo Dome. He's not as good as he was wrestling Sami Zayn at NXT Dallas or TakeOver Dallas. Like he is
wrestling
not,
Brock Lesnar in the Tokyo Dome.
He's not the same guy.
Oh.
Yeah. Look, he's not the guy who wrestled Brock Lesnar in the Tokyo Dome either. Like, but this is a guy who is on the backslide of his career, cashing the fuck out, making money, and also just being an overact. Like,
yeah,
not everybody can be the fucking guy. Saying that, like, and it's like, it held water when it's like they're forcing Roman to be that guy and he's not ready to do it, or they're not positioning. But, I mean, there's a reason why when that man goes, ooh-ah, everybody in the arena goes, ooh-ah. Like, you can't, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, I never liked him. Meanwhile, that guy goes, ooh-ah, and everybody's pretending they're a Brock Lesnar guy. Like, you cannot sit here and tell me that he's not over. You can tell his stories aren't good, his presentation's not up to where it's supposed to be prior to his most recent run. But that's the guy, and it just took a little bit of tinkering to get him to being the guy. I don't know if you saw there's a minute of his promo from last night where he is Brock Lesnar's talking about his title, the WWE title, and he's like, "That's my title. In fact, this ring is my ring. These people are my people. This commentary team, they work for me. They're my commentary team. That sign, WrestleMania, is because of me." Like, he's doing all this shit, and he's talking cash shit. I'm like, it is amazing that 3 years ago, like, he is just being not
booed out of the building for being a milquetoast babyface.
Like he's in the ring, and he's the fourth most over guy when you've got decrepit Taker, Drew McIntyre, Shane McMahon, and then him.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild to think about, like, he not even booed out, but just, it's like, come on, we're tired of being told he's the guy, and you keep showing me that he's not. Then he goes and shows us this guy, so he did. But not everybody can be that guy. Not everybody, I'm not saying everybody needs to be just, booked badly, but not everybody can be booked at the top of the card, and you have to understand, like, this is my thing, right? AEW, there's a lot of people that are booked very well in AEW because AEW has a bloated roster where they just feed people who can take losses as a singles, and it doesn't affect their perception. WWE doesn't have that because WWE has a lot of moving parts where they can't afford to have, and not afford they can absolutely afford it in a monetary sense, but in a functionality sense, having a bunch of guys that aren't established or need to be booked in a certain way when they are already have guys who need to be booked in a certain way that are already over, that are already established, and are making them money. What's the point of having them if, from a business standpoint, what's the point of having them if you're not going to use them properly, right? Because that's the complaint everybody had, which is you have all this good talent and you're not using them. And then now we're cutting them, and it's more the reason, which is budget cuts, when you're like, well, you're making billions of dollars now, so it's not exactly budget cuts. But
I just heard that in the aftermatch they were talking, or on the WWE website they were saying that it's not just a title versus title match now.
It's a reunification.
It's a unification.
Yep.
And they're gonna end the brand split again.
Yep.
Which if this right, which now makes all the sense in the world why you would cut people, setting aside the fact that it's a worldwide pandemic and it makes you a really shitty asshole. Yeah. Setting the poopy buttholeness of it aside, it makes sense from the business perspective. That you want a leaner roster and you want the best guys to have their time. But to your point, would you rather have Baron Corbin, who can lose every week and still be hated as a hot heel, or would you rather have 5 guys who are like 2-7 and all of their wins are on Elevation and Dark?
Exactly.
Corbin.
Yeah, you know why? Because I can also use Baron Corbin to get my boy Madcap Moss over, like, who is objectively becoming as big of a star as Baron Corbin.
I love Baron Corbin. Like, there's a lot of people who are just like, oh, I can't stand Baron Corbin. Like,
that's the point.
You don't know nothing.
That's the fucking point, you schmuck.
One, it's the yeah, but it's people who think they're smart fans. I'm like, dude, no, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. And he's not doing it by getting X-Pac heat. He's getting heat for being a wrestler. Yep. And it works. It works for him. And if you ever saw him when he was dominating NXT, you know he can turn it on if they need him to do that and be in that position. He just hasn't, because they haven't. That's the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Speaking of taking somebody and putting them somewhere, right? I have one question, okay? And I was like, all right, this is the kind of question I can only ask people who are lifetime wrestling fans, or at least up to date with stuff, right?
Am I gonna cuss you out, Grum?
What? No. I think this is a good question. I think it's a good question. It's a 2-part question. We'll start with Didact.
Let me a 2-parter.
Start with Didact. Didact, you get to take anybody from outside of WWE and put them into WWE, knowing exactly what that entails, right?
Yep.
You're trying to make this is the best case scenario, right? So you're basically like, hey, this guy might not be the tippy top, but contender every couple months, make a run for it once or twice, and just be an overact, reliable. So anybody outside WWE into WWE.
Ooh, I mean, I really feel like even though he does well, he's been doing well with on Dark and Elevation and all of his stuff that he, like, his relationship with AEW, and just with how pretty much Minnesota is like the last stop before you go somewhere. Like, it's weird how many people come to wrestle for First Wrestling, and then their very next thing is they're either in WWE or AEW. And I would hate to lose him as the guy who runs First, but Eric Cannon.
Okay. Right? I can see. I know. I've followed Eric Cannon. That's a good one. I think that's a good solid, like, this guy will be good. He might not be the top, but he would make, I think, well, and he's held in at least our little neck of the woods, he's held the James Ballantyne VFW championship and the WrestlePalooza championship, which, I mean, he's kind of like, when the title goes vacant, he's vacant. he's the default champion.
Um, but he's one of those guys that he can put on whatever match you need. You need a comedy match, he'll do a comedy match. You need a hardcore match, the dude will fucking do his best Tommy Dreamer impression and fucking bleed everywhere for you. But I think like if he were to hit WWE, he'd make a I would say he'd make a good run as Intercontinental Champion if he doesn't make it to the top.
Okay, I like that. I'm seeing it, and I like it. I'm paying money for it. That's the important thing.
Yeah, like if they still had like a hardcore title, fuck it, strap a rocket to him.
I mean, look, I mean the 24/7 is more comedy, but I mean I think a guy like Eric Cannon who's I've known about for a decade plus now, like, and just knowing and seeing him and I've seen him wrestle. I'm like, okay, no, that's a guy. If you go, hey, go give me 2 minutes of the funniest shit you can give me, and get over. Absolutely. But also, if you do a little hardcore, if you want to be the guy in the chase that's trying to kill people with a steel chair, yeah, let's do it. And they end up taking the steel chair shot yourself or caning yourself or something like that. You know what? Let me get on the phone with Vince. We're gonna get a character in the 24/7 that just ends up hurting themselves, but ultimately will get themselves over as as a regular competitor, and then be really good. That's Eric Cannon. I'll put the call into Vince. RB, what about you? Anybody outside of WWE into put them in, get them in the system.
Oh man, I have one, but it wouldn't work because it's WWE. I have one, and it would also be like, it'd be for you. I'm not going to say that one. I'll say it at the end.
Okay.
Because I don't think he would work in WWE. I don't think that his personality behind the scenes would work, and I don't think that they would have the patience for him to get the kind of position that Baron Corbin has that he would be great for. So I'm not going to say Eddie Kingston.
Okay, yeah, damn.
Because Eddie Kingston
he would have already been there if that's the case. Like, they offered him the spot, basically. He's like, nah, I'm good. I don't blame him. But.
I don't think that it would work for him, but I would love to see that kind of character in WWE doing that sort of thing, and no one does it like Eddie Kingston.
No.
I am also going to go to Minnesota.
Ooh,
I'm gonna say Dante Martin. Dante Martin could be the guy.
Airwolf.
10 years. In 10 years, Dante Martin will be the guy.
It's crazy that he's on national television right now. And this is the other thing, right? This is why WWE is doing what they're doing with NXT 2.0. It takes 10 years to get... Look at The Miz. The Miz has been on television for over 10 years, and now he is at the point where the crowd is fully invested in his character, in his matches, in everything he does. It takes a lot of time to get over and stay over. Dante Martin is going to do that. I think that's a good call. I think that's a fucking great call.
Yeah, Dante Martin is sort of the prototypical post, like, it's never going to be post Vince. He's going to put himself into a robot. He's going to run WWE for the next 200 fucking years.
Yeah.
That being said, Dante Martin is Ricochet who can talk.
Yes. Thank you. That bum ass Ricochet can't talk. Thank you.
I love I love Ricochet, but he doesn't got that he's not a 5-skill player.
He's not. He's a very good, very incredible. Like, I tell people this all the time when they're like, "Why isn't Ricochet?" I don't get why Ricochet's not pushed. And like, because Ricochet can't string together 2 fucking sentences. They're like, why should that matter? I said, because it's fucking professional wrestling. It always has mattered. There's never been a time in professional wrestling when stringing together 2 sentences has not been important. Do you know the only person who has been unable to string together multiple sentences into a cohesive, entertaining promo and gotten over to the point of being a fucking star? We watched him today wrestle Will fucking Sasso. You watch Bret Hart had some absolutely brutal stinkers of promos.
Real bad.
Until he started saying, fuck you, Vince, eat shit, suck my dick. When he started going off and being a heel and letting himself be, clowned a little bit and opening himself up and not to be taken as seriously as a wrestler, god damn it, Bret had a great promo. But when he was serious, I'm Bret Hart, I'm a good guy, I'm a role model, he stunk up the joint. Wrestlers need... Yeah, go ahead.
Since we're talking about Ricochet, another guy who was in the same boat but then changed it up and got over, Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay got a promo, he got an edge, and he got the IWGP Championship.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say Cesaro. I'm like, well, Cesaro's best promo happened on Talking Smack, and it sounded like an 80s promo. But it worked for him. It also worked for the story that, you don't have to be a good promo. You have to be a good enough promo.
Yeah, you need to be able to be manageable.
Also, Cesaro should have just been the greatest tag team wrestler of all time in WWE history. That should have just been.
He already is. He
should just do. No, that's Edge. Edge is the greatest tag team wrestler of all time.
Edge
has a record. He's got titles with 7 different partners. Cesaro has 3.
But a lot with Sheamus.
A lot of them with Sheamus. Yes. The bar is
okay. Here's my argument. Cesaro and Sheamus, the actual greatest tag team in WWE history.
That's spicy. Why is it so spicy? Whoa!
Not only that, in the same era as the New Day and the Usos.
I mean, I don't hate it. I'm a big Sheamus guy. We share birthdays. We're 10 years apart. I don't mind it. I like it. But I disagree. But I like it.
I mean, I almost went so far as to say the Bar, the Usos, and the New Day are better than the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and
Let's
Hardy.
Fucking go! Yes! I'm banging the table. Let's fucking yes!
They're not spot monkeys.
Let's fucking go! Damn it! That's yes. Way to pull it back around. I'm fully on board with that. Yes.
Oh wow! There's an over thing with a table, and he headbutts him in the nuts. Great.
First off, Public Enemy did it first. All right, I'm just saying. Right? Public Enemy got a table over. They had Dusty Rhodes yelling about plunder on national pay-per-view. All right, well before the Dudleys were. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Second off, you have Edge, who's a really good worker, and then that's it. Everybody else there are not great workers. They're either a 3-tool player or a tool player. Matt Hardy is very smart. Matt Hardy, charismatic. Matt Hardy, never want to see him wrestle though. Even when he was in his prime, I'm good. I don't need.
Yep.
The most over Matt Hardy was before he became a character was when he was fired.
When he cucked,
and he was trespassing.
When he was cucked by Edge.
Yeah.
The man was the most over when he was committing trespassing crimes. All right, I just can't do. But yes, I like that.
Jeff Hardy.
I thought you were going. I thought you were going with saying all 3 of them, the Bar, Usos, and New Day, are better than the Bucks, which I also agree. I don't think it's a hot take. I agree with that. But the fact you said they're better than the TLC trio of teams, buddy, I'm all for it because I've been holding on to that one for a while now. Hell yeah.
They came and they did their thing in their time. We would not have the Bar, the Usos, and the New Day, and the Bucks, and FTR if not for those guys. That's great. Give them all the respect in the world. Please stop having TLC pay-per-views because they across the board suck ass.
I mean, they did. They've stopped it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. Wow.
But I think when it comes to the competitiveness, I think I will go on to say the best tag team wrestling match I ever saw was the Hell in a Cell between the Usos and the New Day.
Yes.
with him wrapped around the post and just gutting and just candlesticks to the stomach. He's gonna puke.
And the thing is, I know that's saying something because I know you have seen. I know you watched Lucha Bros and Bucks.
Yeah,
like
I watched
All
Lucha...
Out. Like
yeah.
I know that like I felt weird for being like, yeah, no, like I saw that match, really good match. It's not the best tag team match that AEW's ever had, so I can't say it's the best. Like I think the Revolution Page and Omega versus Young Bucks was better.
Yes, I think that is the best tag match. I think that's one. The cage match with the Bucks and the Lucha Bros is 2, and FTR versus the Bucks. Yeah. As rushed as it was, as much as I agree with you that it should have been further down the line, the match delivered. Like that was to that moment the best until the Kenny and Page versus the Bucks. That was the gold standard.
But yeah, all right. So Dante Martin in WWE, and we're putting Eric Cannon in WWE as well. Now, I'm gonna reverse the order. So RB, you're up first.
Okay.
Who are you taking from WWE, and where are you putting them?
Ooh.
Right, because that's options. A lot of people are like, oh, you put them in AEW. It's like, well, I'm asking guys that I know here that don't just go 1 or 2. There's a lot here. So.
Mm.
My immediate reaction.
It's also anybody under WWE's umbrella. So that includes NXT UK, NXT, and
Yep. I think I'm sending Walter to New Japan.
Yeah,
yeah, buddy.
Fuck, give me Okada and Walter right now.
I was actually having this conversation with another friend of mine yesterday about just the chop fest that could be had between Suzuki and Walter.
I need.
Do you know what color?
Walter versus Suzuki. Walter versus Hiroki Goto. Walter.
Do you know what the color?
Oh my God! Walter versus Ishii.
Organs are.
Oh my God!
What color is obliterated internal organs?
Do you know how much money I would pay to see Suzuki to just be like no selling a chop, just to eat that chop and look at Walter and be like,
give me another one.
And then I would lose my absolute fucking mind. I was thinking Walter was one of them. I didn't think in New Japan. I was thinking of putting like Walter in Impact and just letting him run through everybody there.
That would be nice. That would be fun.
I was like, let Walter destroy, just mangle and murder everybody and just run that promotion. Fuck it. I just needed it.
My knee jerk was you take Rollins and you fix the Bullet Club. That was my knee jerk reaction, and then you said about NXT, and I was like, I just want to smile and watch Suzuki and Walter beat each other to death.
Yeah, no, Rollins fixing the Bullet Club, and then being in the same promotion as Ospreay. Cool.
Yeah. Can you imagine today, like the current gimmick of him with the coats, where he's as scummy as ELP?
Yeah. Oh my God, ELP be like, dude, I think you're a scumbag. You're like, what? I think you're
it's
great.
A compliment.
Yeah. Oh, you're great too. Yeah, you're a scumbag. That's good. All right, so Walter, that's good. I'll also accept the Rollins to New Japan to fix Bullet Club.
Because what that gives me, I think, is Ghetto, the character, turning his back on Jay White, and then you get the Jay White face redemption. Because he as the most over guy, which I think that has to eventually be the plan for Jay White. Because it was like when he was on Excursion, people were like, Jay White is going to be the next guy? How is Jay White going to be the next guy? And I think I think he gets to be the flip of Ospreay, who was fine as a face, but got the skills and then betrayed Okada and became a mega heel. I think Ospreay is going to go the other way, or that Jay White will eventually go the other way. because I don't think it, if for no other and I think Rollins would make that happen very easily. Plus, imagine plus be with me for a moment.
Okay.
Seth Rollins in the G1.
Boy, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'll take a shower in a bit. Good. Okay.
Right?
Woo! Boy, just letting him go for 20. Yeah, Gato could finally give somebody other than fucking Yoro Tano a fucking 30-minute match. Whew, yeah, all right. Didek, what about you? You're taking somebody out of the WWE's umbrella and putting them anywhere.
Okay, so like RB, I had a knee-jerk meme reaction,
Okay.
which was you take Braun Breaker, you let him go full tilt Steiner, and you put him in Impact.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Like
All
that was
right.
that was my knee-jerk meme reaction. Is like he looks so much like his uncle. He
Yeah.
talks like his uncle. He basically is his uncle. Just
Mm-hmm.
put him over there and just make him Rick Steiner 2.0. Like,
Yeah. Okay.
fuck.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
he's
it's good.
he's an absolute stud. Absolute.
They're
stud.
not messing with that guy. They're not.
No,
He's
no,
not
and
at all.
he's only 24.
They got him wrestling Dolph Ziggler. There's a reason that he's doing that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that your official answer, or did you let it stew a little bit and come up with a?
Yeah.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, it's a good choice, I feel, but like I feel like there's something to be said about like there's guys in WWE that would be phenomenal in New Japan, like Seth Rollins would be insane. Shit. See, that's a little tougher because it's like you get so used to the WWE product that it's so different. It's like, well, I don't know how these guys would adapt to an environment outside of that. But I think in the same vein as Walter, I think Ciampa in New Japan.
Okay.
Good. That's a good thought too. Like that sort of thing is like it would be like it's gonna sound weird, but Ciampa would be a waste in AEW because it'd still just be Ciampa. It'd be
Right.
kind of the same thing. Like same thing with Gargano. Like I love Johnny Gargano. I love that he named his baby boy after Peter Quill. I love him and I love his wife. I love everything about those two guys. And I think they'd be great in AEW, but for something like that, it's not my choice because they're eventually going to go there. Like you want something different, something that's a change.
Well, and what I feel like with Ciampa is he speaks to like he's like the WWE version of like Matt Cross. Where Matt Cross was huge in Lucha Underground, and he was on the on the indie circuit. I've seen him live at WrestlePalooza, but I feel like you let Ciampa do his thing. You give him not so much the Mox treatment, but you let him be more brutal. You let him be conniving.
You better let him be the Blackheart.
You let him be the Blackheart, and oh baby, Ciampa becomes scary.
Yeah. We're talking about Rollins fixing Bullet Club. Have Ciampa try to take over Suzuki-gun.
Ooh, little feud with Lance Archer.
Little feud with Lance Archer. Little feud with ZSJ.
Oh,
Ciampa versus ZSJ. Oh baby.
Say it slower.
Tommaso Ciampa. 45-minute submission Rumble with Zack Sabre Jr.
Oh boy.
I know.
With ELP on commentary next.
I know. New Japan isn't big on specialized stipulation matches, but just give me a crutch match in New Japan with Tommaso Ciampa.
All right. So you ready for mine?
Yeah.
Let's hear it.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right. I'm taking from outside of WWE and putting them in WWE. Okay. I'm taking Shane Taylor Promotions, the whole group, and I'm putting them in WWE. That's Shane Taylor, O'Shea Edwards, Khan, Moses, Ron Hunt, all of them. I'm talking Trish Adora, although I don't know if ROH ever officially made it can't, but Trish Adora was being recruited. I'm putting them all in WWE. I want Shane Taylor Promotions there. That's where I want them. Taking out of WWE and putting outside of WWE, I'm taking Vic Joseph and I'm putting him in AEW. I'm revamping AEW's thing. I'm doing Vic Joseph, Taz, and Excalibur as your commentary team for every show.
Listen, I don't want to say the things. I don't want to repeat on an open mic some of the things I've said in while watching wrestling matches that I've said about Jim Ross. I have said terrible things about Jim Ross because he has pissed me off so much watching him, both in AEW and in New Japan. Like, I have really laid into Jim Ross in a terrible way. But
Jim Ross steals a lot of thunder from Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone is great as I love AEW's not catering, but targeting of the hardcore fan who's fallen out of who knows the history of professional wrestling and all that stuff. You can do that without giving me this Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross are great. They love professional wrestling. They don't like modern professional wrestling. Tony not so much. Tony does, but Tony gets talking with JR and he starts agreeing with him. Yeah, it's like, look, like you get Tony, like, let Tony do. I like Tony doing the in-ring interviews. I love that. He's very good at that. He's always been good at it. Jim Ross can do these backstage sit-downs. I don't need them calling the action. Excalibur and Taz are incredible on Dark. They are, right?
Jericho, and Excalibur. Come on.
Jericho needs to get the fuck. I need him working Dark Elevation as a commentary before you put him on national television. There's just he's just all over the place because he's like, I have to say something, and it's like,
yeah, no, he doesn't have that instinct yet.
It's just like you don't have, like, the other day, what was it? He was yelling about he was yelling about like Eddie Kingston it was a couple weeks ago. He was yelling about like having Santana and Ortiz's back. As Kingston was there, and like the numbers were on the side of Santana, Ortiz, and Kingston, and he's like, "Oh, if they need me, they know I'm right there." And it's like, shut the fuck. Dude, if they needed you, you would be there.
Yeah.
The fuck.
Yeah. The thing is that Jericho is not great on commentary. He's good in a podcast where he's carrying the whole thing. He's fine in a promo. But he's not great. Like, he's okay. Like, the most I enjoyed him on commentary was the time that it was him and JR, and JR was burying the Bucks, and Jericho just went for JR's throat live on national television.
Well, yeah, because you shouldn't. Because
you should be shitting on the business, especially, like, sure, say what you will about the Bucks, but you don't shit on them when they're being booked as the top guys.
Yeah.
Like, there was, like, the other day, I forget what it was. I think it was Adam Cole, and a face came to someone's defense and ran Adam Cole away from the ring. And Adam Cole's like halfway up the aisle, just stopping there and like mouthing off back. And JR's like, "Why do you stop? I don't get why guys stop." Like, dude, because it's professional wrestling.
Yeah,
that's what happens. Don't. Like, I know you don't get the whole kayfabe is dead thing, but that's not the way that kayfabe is dead.
Yeah, in fact, you pointing out that this is a show and it's done for entertainment is more killing the business, JR, than anything that, and like, it's rough. Those are my picks. That's why I asked the question, because I'm like, y'all are going to pick wrestlers.
You picked a whole goddamn faction.
I said, I'm picking a whole goddamn faction.
Yeah, well, I'm the
No,
host.
see-
I asked
Yeah,
the
can do
question
that.
knowing where I was going.
Well, if I can transplant a faction,
Yeah. Go
Okay.
ahead.
I'm taking the family out of WWE, Roman and the Usos, and I'm throwing them at God in New Japan.
Ooh. Yeah, no, like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, you throw
Yeah.
you throw the family at the Gorillas.
Yeah.
Throw
Yeah,
the
no,
bloodline at
Or
the
yeah,
Bullet
throw the
Club.
yeah,
You just
throw
throw
the
them
bloodline at the Bullet
yeah.
Club.
Like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, yeah, nah, Roman Okada, give me that, give me Uso. Like New Japan's tag division isn't great anymore,
No, it's not.
No.
but
Like they've broken up all of the good junior
Yeah.
teams, and the senior teams are all just guys who are left.
the
right now.
senior teams are just all they're just all the guys who are in groups. So it's just like, hey, we have these guys representing this as your tag champions, and their opponents representing it's two random guys representing the Bullet Club. Like, ugh.
Right. Like, I love, like, Naito and Sonata, great. Love it. Fantastic. But it's not Sonata and Evil.
No,
Like, that was a great tag team.
absolutely. New Japan easily has the fourth in term. Like, I would say they're the fourth best roster. Cause like Impact's roster is
Impact's roster is very good.
It's very
Mhm.
solid. Like, you don't have the big names. But if you put gave them if you're not even like the top tier level of AEW main eventers, but if you gave them like Eddie Kingston and like Darby Allin, not Sean Spears. I don't want Sean Spears anywhere near any of my wrestling. Wardlow's trending, so I was like, Wardlow. Yeah, I mean, you put Wardlow in Impact. That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
That's some good
No,
stuff.
Wardlow's gonna
there's the match, Grum. There's the match.
What are we doing?
Wardlow and Braun Breaker step into each other.
Yeah, big meaty men slapping meat. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I love me a good Haas fight.
Yeah, Hoss Warriors always and forever will be beloved in this household. We anytime we see big meaty men slapping meat, we get excited. That's why I'm excited for WrestleMania, because it's big meaty men slapping meat. It is.
That's why I'm excited for the Face of the Revolution.
Yeah,
Big meaty men slapping.
Yeah, and Orange Cassidy. Like,
Is-
it's like you're like, hey, here's all the beef we
all
got.
the big guy, Starks and Cassidy. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's like, well, do we put Jake Hager in there? No, because
he's Jake Hager.
He's also he's on a contract. He's about his contract winding up. He's getting in real good shape to look at the WWE comes looking at him.
Yeah, that's probably he can't. No, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Jack, Jake, whatever you're calling yourself these days. I have a Vince ruined Jack Swagger / Jake Hager for me. Absolutely destroyed him as a person for me, because he won Money in the Bank. He came out, he won his first title, and he no-sold it.
Yeah.
And
that's
I'm like,
see, you know what? I'm putting that on Swagger. Like,
I had heard that he was told to no sell it, because that was the type of character he was going to be building up. My favorite moment in WWE history is the Miz Girl moment.
Mm-hmm.
When he cashed in on Orton and absolutely lost his fucking mind.
Yeah.
Like, I've never, like, that is the happiest I have ever seen a person. Like, Dolph Ziggler cashing in on Del Rio was also very good. But, like, the Miz being there in the middle of the ring, what's his name? Who was Mini Miz?
You mean Sando?
Oh yeah.
No. Before that, the his young boy,
Oh, Riley.
Alex Riley. Alex Riley starts to get into the ring and then realizes how big of a moment it is and doesn't. Like that, I live for the look of him lifting the belt up on the. I love every cash in except for Swagger's because of him no selling it at the end. And I think that was something. And from what I understood, it was intended to do that because they wanted him to, because he was like sort of like the goofy, I don't know, Jake Paul-esque. Like he had the weird blonde hair. He was overly excited. He was a college bro guy. It was him.
You should just let him be that. That would have worked.
It would have worked, but that moment, I'm just like, I can't. I don't want to watch a wrestler who doesn't win the world championship and it's not the greatest moment of their life.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I put that. I mean, him no selling it. I don't think he should have no sold it as hard as he did. But yeah, no, telling a guy to be hey, like act like this is nothing for you, is not the right way to go.
And it might not have been that they put it that way. Like just be serious about it. Yeah. And that was the only way he was able to do it. This
is the same company who was like, hey, like we want you to be like, you know, to Terry Taylor, you're the Red Rooster. We want you strutting your shit. You're the cock, all this stuff, right?
You're the cock of the walk.
And he's like, oh, all right, I guess I'm gonna be a chicken. Like, no, no, we don't want you to be a chicken. Like, what the fuck? Why would we want to be? No, we don't want you to be a fucking chicken. We want you to dress like one. Maybe dye your hair, but like. What's with this cock-a-doodle-doo shit? The fuck? Jesus Christ. It's just, yeah. But hey, look, they pulled his name out of a gimmick box, and they were like, all right, well, you'll get that in Ted DiBiase, you'll be the $1 Million Man. But yeah. We're going to wrap up here. We went long. Why? Because we have 3 wrestling nerds talking about wrestling, so that's what happens. But before we go, last thoughts on the Will Sasso and Bret Hart match that we watched and barely covered.
Absolute fucking chaos. Like it was what, a 2-minute segment?
Probably about 4
minutes.
Yeah, 4 minutes? Yeah.
And it's like it was over before it even started.
It was literally the best utilized celebrity wrestling match of all time.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, oh, this is the real world. Like, oh no, it's whoever was it, Dennis Rodman and Karl Malone and Jay Leno and Diamond Dallas Page. No. Give me Will Sasso getting his ass kicked by Bret Hart. And then getting betrayed by his own castmate. Perfect.
Top 10 anime betrayals.
Sold America.
So good. It was so dumb. It's so fucking dumb. But yeah, no, it was greatest betrayal of all time. No one saw it coming.
No one saw it coming.
No one.
I mean, Bret Hart got to sit back in his chair for half the match.
Drink some water,
and take care of him. Not
take some me time.
Much. Yeah.
Imagine how good those chair shots would have been. How crisp they would have been if her titty wasn't flying out.
Right? That's true. Her titty was about to pop out. And wait for the cameraman. I think it was Keith Mitchell was running the board, but it was like, hey, don't shoot her. Tell her to fix her dress. Pop it out.
Because there was some rim there.
There was some areola for sure.
Yeah, there was some areola for sure.
There was definitely some fucking areola. RB, take us home here. Let us know what you're working on, where the people can find you, any causes that mean something to you to bring up and talk about. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. I love. This is a great place to be. I'm glad you're all listening. I am all about mental health. Please support your local crisis lines. Support your local mental health centers, and remember that mental health is health, and that it is good for everyone's life, and no one should be made to feel low because they are dealing with a medical condition.
Beautiful. And we can find you at the RBStreams. Yeah.
The RB stream on Twitter, or on
Twitch.
the RB stream on Twitch. The RB THEAHRBEE on Twitter and TikTok, where I do stupid D&D skits.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Didact, same for
Yes,
you.
sir.
Socials, where the people can find you, what you got working on, what you want to plug, and things that are special to your heart.
Yes, sir. You can find me twitch.tv/DidactGaming. You can also find me at DidactGaming on Twitter. Mental health, definitely a big proponent that I push on the stream. I'm also a big proponent of St. Jude Play Live, which we'll be getting into come April. So in about a month, we'll be kicking off that campaign, raising money for kids with cancer, making sure that families who have don't necessarily have the means to get their kids the treatment and to be comfortable to not have to pay a dime out of pocket for that. One other thing, love the people of the Ukraine.
Absolutely.
And fuck the Russian government, but love the Russian people.
Mm.
The promo that the president of the Ukraine cut on Joe Biden.
Oh, yeah.
Don't give me a ride. Give me ammunition. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I don't need a ride. I need anti-tank ammunition. What the fuck? Give me that shit.
Yeah.
Thoughts are with the people of Ukraine, people who have family there, and the people of Russia who are just loudly being against this to the point where they're getting arrested, and for going like protesting this. Wild times. Unprecedented, lifetime, once in a lifetime event for the people who have continued to live through once in a lifetime event. Yeah, hopefully everything is settled and in the safest and least amount of bloodshed and violence as we're past the point of being like, oh, hopefully nothing bad happens. Bad things are happening.
It's happening, yeah.
So hopefully the bad things stop happening as safely and quickly as possible. Thank you guys for coming on the Dork Side of the Ring. We went long. I might edit some of this down. I might not. Who knows? But I love you guys. I can't wait to get you guys back on here again. I'll probably split you up so we don't sit here and talk about pro wrestling for almost 3 hours. Love you guys. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Didact, and thank you, RB, for coming on again, having a fun talk. Unlike any other episode I've done, a lot of current talk and just talking about wrestling in general. It was good. It's a good change of pace to have friends who like to talk about pro wrestling. It's always good to have friends who share common interests, or just having friends who want to talk. That's also good. Get yourself some friends, and if you don't, become my friend, because I'll help you get friends. That's the one thing I'm very good at, I think, is making friends and connecting people, which we'll be doing soon as phase 2. We'll do a little bit of that. But hey, look, thank you guys so much for hanging out today, being a part of the continued growth of what I'm doing over at Grum.tv and support.grum.tv. Support.grum.tv. I forgot a second dot there. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I really do. We're doing a lot of different things. I'm kind of just making my own path in this world of content creation and working on things the way I want to work on them. So next week's episode is a good one as well. It's actually a fun one. It is myself and another super fan. There Can Only Be Vaughn and another Twitch.tv. Both of them Twitch.tv pals of mine. Shay. And There Can Only Be Vaughn. We're talking Mike Awesome versus the Dark Carnival. And specifically, we're going to be watching Mike Awesome take on Vampiro and the ICP in 2 separate matches. Which is just wild. Also, he's that 70s guy, Mike Awesome. There's a lot to talk about. It's a very fun episode. These episodes have been really long lately, and if you like long episodes, I'm very glad that I've been able to help you out with that. If you don't like them, don't worry. I'm gonna be breaking up some stuff and put them up on YouTube because I figure that's easy content because it's recorded. I just put the logo on it, maybe do a couple like little clips and whatnot. Who knows? But that's all in the future. It's a one-man operation, and just being a one-man operation really makes it a little difficult to work on some stuff, to be able to put out the content at the speed I want, with the quality I want. It's tough, but that's why I'm recording this from my car. So I have more time when I'm at home on a computer that can properly edit things quickly and with the kind of quality I want. So that's always good. But thank you guys so much. If you haven't already, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram at Dorkside Ring. You can follow me individually there at I Am Grum. You can also continue to support us for free by going to the Apple Podcast Store or Apple Podcast app. I think it's an app. Go to the Apple Podcast app or go to Spotify and leave a 5-star review. That helps us grow. It lets people know where they can find us. It puts eyeballs on the product. That's always good. I would hate to have to sell out and be like, hey, did you guys see what this wrestling content creator did? Also follow me on my well, I mean, the game is a game. But I'm not playing the game the way the game wants to be played. It's not time to play the game. I am the game. Yeah, that's where my brain was. Thank you guys so much. I will see you guys next week. Remember that it is okay to not take wrestling seriously because we here at the Dark Side of the Ring believe that wrestling is at its best when no one is taking it seriously. Until next time, I am Grum. I am glad you came, and I will see you next time here on the Dark Side of the Ring podcast.